Hey everybody, it's Tony Schiavone of All Elite Wrestling, and this is Tru Heel Heat, and I said it right, you motherfuckers.
Hello everyone, it's the Hardcore.
Another week at the Saturday morning cookout. It's time to talk about the latest in wrestling news, and it's happy SummerSlam Saturday. So we got a jam-packed edition of the flagship podcast with one of our all-time favorite guests coming back with us, the legendary Dutch Mantell. We got a first-time guest in Cam Hawkins. There's a lot to discuss with SummerSlam, Vince McMahon under federal investigation, the Elite re-signs to AEW, Lufisto blowing up AEW's women's locker room, plus much, much more. It's Tru Heel Heat 237. Let's get to it. Hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube and Facebook for Tru Heel Heat 237 Elite Investigation, discussing the latest wrestling news, including Vince McMahon under federal investigation, the Elite re-signing with AEW, but everyone is talking about allegations about the AEW women's locker room, recap of this week in wrestling with everything from WWE, AEW, New Japan, ROH, and Impact, and final predictions for SummerSlam 2023. I am joined this week not by the beautiful and lovely princess of all the Tru Heels, Miss Chrissy Love, but usually when she is not here with us, we usually have to get in the pitch hitter, the sixth man of the year of the Tru Heel Heat flagship podcast. He's the true draw. It's Josh. What's going on, brother?
How's it going? I know I was supposed to be on last week, so just wanted to make it up at least this week.
Appreciate you for that. Appreciate you for joining us. And I appreciate our special guest. I said at the top of the show, one of our all-time favorite guests right here, the legendary manager, wrestler, one of the greatest minds in the wrestling game, and the greatest mustache as well. He is Dutch Mantell.
Good morning, Sid. I want you to know that I got out of bed early this morning, and I got ready to do the show, and I had to almost hold myself in the bed because I wanted to stay there. But told you I'd be here, and I'm here, much to your surprise. I bet you were thinking, Deb said he was going to be there, but Deb says a lot of crap, and he might be there, or he might not be. So, but let's get started because there's a few things I really want to comment on today.
Yes, we have a lot to discuss from WWE, AEW. We're going to talk SmackDown and Raw with you from this past week, but you also want to talk about something from the AEW world, which we'll also break down with Cam Hawkins later in the show. But yes, we want to appreciate everyone for joining us. Show your appreciation back by dropping the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, sound off in the live chat. We love to hear from all of you and hear your thoughts on the latest wrestling news. So sound off in the live chat. And of course, if you're feeling generous, you could send a super chat donation. Those always help out, helps the channel grow. We are self-funded here, so it always helps out. We do got Hassan in the chat very early on here saying, let's roll up. We also got Jalil who says, hello, everyone. And of course, guys, if you have a question or have a thought that you want Dutch Mantell to address, you can send a super chat donation. That's the best way to do it. Only $10 donations, Dutch says.
I'm just suggesting. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything is mandatory, but if you want to throw a little bit of coins Sid's way, feel free to do that. All right, Sid, continue.
Yes, I wanted to say, Dutch, because since the last time we had you on, now you are like one of the biggest names. Okay. You're one of the biggest names.
I'm hearing all kind of sounds here. We got that. Do we have that under control? Hopefully.
We got that under control. We got it good now. But Dutch, you have one of the biggest wrestling podcasts now. How's it been being the host of your own wrestling podcast? I feel like being on Tru Heel Heat got you ready for the next step.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. Is when I did this show the last time, I had like 32 subscribers. And I did your show, and it magically jumped to 90,000 subscribers. So I'm trying to keep that quiet because all these other podcasters, they'll hear that, and they'll all rush to do your show. See?
Yeah.
So I got to keep that, or they'll be as big as I am. Yeah. The channel I have is a YouTube channel, Storytime with Dutch, and I think we've been doing that over a year, I think, and it's done very well, much better than I think it would do, because I have a theory about wrestling. It becomes an addiction, and it's like drugs. It's hard to get rid of the addiction. I've actually talked to people about their wrestling addiction, and they agree with me. Yeah, they just anything to do with wrestling, anything, they're going to check it out. And that to me is, and I think a lot of guys, even in the business, they just can't quite get away from it. I mean, I don't have a problem getting away from it, but to talk about it, I'll be there all day. So, but thank you very much for putting me on your show. And we have another guy on our show with us. We're not going to tell him what we said. His name is Rick. So if we mention Rick during this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, you'll know who we're talking about. So
yeah, we'll say
but thank you very much for being on the show and helping my other show grow. Plus, I have 2 books. Can I plug my books here? You don't mind?
Of course, I'll give you the spotlight too. Go ahead, Dutch.
Do I have any drum rolls? Hey, folks, I got 2 books. One's called The Tales from a Dirt Road, and the other one is The World According to Dutch. And you can get them yourself off Amazon, but if you want them individually signed and autographed, you can Dutch Nail with 2 L's, and you'll enjoy these books, because I live by the theory that if you don't write this stuff down or transcribe, because nobody else will know these stories. So it's stories of 20, 30, maybe 40 years ago. And it's stories that I heard when I broke into the wrestling business. And great stories never get old. They just get retold. So I'm trying to retell these stories with 2 books. And I wrote in a period of in less than a year apart. And some of the stories may be a little bit dated, but they're still great stories. So I'll also talk about the Bruiser Brody situation in detail in these books. Wrestling a Bear, I talk about in detail, and a lot of other things, going to WCW the first time. And I'm coming up coming out with a third book, and it's gonna detail my time with Jack Swagger in the WWE and meeting Donald Trump, which I think we're going to talk about a little bit later on this show. But email me and ask me about it if you're interested. I mean, if you're not interested, I mean, don't even bother yourself or me. But if you're interested, Dirty Dust Mantell with 2 L's, gmail.com, and I'll get right back to you.
Absolutely. I can't wait for your upcoming book, Dutch. I wanted to ask you because I was just recently rewatching around the time that you and Swagger got aligned on WWE television. And then I remembered the whole, I don't know what he was. He got pulled. I think Swagger got pulled over for having weed in his car at that time.
Well,
and like that caused like some confusion.
Yeah, well, I just had started with WWE, and we just had been put together, and we did. That's used to where they do Raw separately than SmackDown. It used to be. It was a Monday and a Tuesday. It was a tape show. No sooner had they put us together than he got pulled over for weed in the car, and I'm thinking, boy, this is a long run. I hadn't even been there a week. I said, after 2 days, I get released. What the hell? But to their credit, just breezed right through it. And Jack told me, he said, I'm gonna try to talk to Vince. So he tried to talk to Vince the very next day. And Vince wouldn't talk to it. And he said, and Vince told him, you're the stupidest son of a bitch I've ever seen in my life, and walked on. Didn't say a word to him about the stop or nothing, and we just kept going. I said, well, that's one of the greatest answers I've ever heard. So, and he kept us out there and kept us going. So
we now know that
crazy story.
Vince McMahon, the stupidest son of a bitch he's ever met is Jack Swagger.
And I truly believe he meant that. So.
I'm not surprised. You had a world title match at WrestleMania. Like, what are you doing with weed in your car? We do have a.
And I'll detail that. I'll detail that in my next book, because I looked at Jack and I said, "What were you thinking?" And I wasn't with him. Good thing I wasn't with him, because if I was with him, I would have. I think he got I don't know if he got a ticket. I don't even know what they pulled him over for, but they found weed in the car, which automatically triggers another set of stuff. So, but I really like I had about a 2.5 year run there. I would have had more, except I broke my leg. And don't ever break your leg, by the way. That's one of the worst injuries I've ever had in my life. You think a broken leg, it's a broken leg. No, it's a lot more than that. So, but
did you get it in WWE or outside when you broke your leg?
No, I was inside. I was inside the contract. Oh yeah, and they were getting ready to extend it. They did extend it somewhat, but by that time I was getting ready for more surgery and all this kind of stuff. And thinking back on it now, I should have said I got hurt walking down the damn walkway at WWE show. And then they said, well, we got to pay him, got to do this, got to do that. They wouldn't have missed the money anyway. But anyway, okay.
They got money for all that. We got a bunch of people in the chat. We got Dan who says good morning. We also got the Negro Buck who says morning, everyone. Morning to you as well. And everyone else, sound off in the live chat. Send those mornings, send those super chats for Dutch. We want to send our appreciation to everyone supporting us across social media. So we start off every episode with our Tru Heel roll call, our top 3 conversation starters over on our Facebook group page. We got Alan Weinstein, we got Stewie Palmer, and number 1, the Negro Buck, Nick Jackson. You got Nick Jackson and ALW as part of our Patreon backers, along with Vala B, Alex McCarthy, Professor Chris, Austin, Blue, Robert, Steve, Antoine, 5th Generation Carney, Ladarius, John, aka Russell Scopes, Dan, Kobe, Dolores, John, DJ Eric, Beat Boop, Marcus Ryan, Justin, James, Allen, and Santo. Thank you so much for supporting us at patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat. But let's start off things. Let's get to what we missed and what we missed. Starting off with last night, you had WWE SmackDown with the Go Home show ahead of SummerSlam. This one, of course, was spotlighted, highlighted by the final build to tribal combat between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. But because the show was in Ohio and not Detroit, Roman Reigns was conspicuous by his absence. So we got Paul Heyman documenting the history of the tribal combat match and introducing a great video package on the ceremonial lay and what tribal combat means to the family, basically explaining tribal combat as basically fighting to become the Black Panther in how they choose who's going to be the tribal chief. And we had basically cameos from Rikishi and the Wild Samoans during this video package. This was before Jey Uso came out to the ring to confront Paul Heyman. Solo Sikoa came out, and Jey Uso basically sowed the seed of doubt in Solo's head, talking about how he's basically being treated and getting said everything that was said to Jey before him, and don't be manipulated by Roman and Heyman, and he will forgive him because he's his brother. But then Solo, Heyman tells him he doesn't think Solo's listening to him, but Solo kind of gives him a look. Heyman tries to pull him back, but Jey gives him a super kick, and that leads into the main event where Jey Uso defeats Solo Sikoa. After the matchup, he lays him out with the steel chair, standing tall before tribal combat. You had LA Knight picking up a win in the opener against Sheamus. You also had Cameron Grimes going one-on-one with U.S. champion Austin Theory. Austin Theory picking up the win in a decent matchup. Following the matchup, Santos Escobar got some revenge on Theory for attacking him during the opener. And you also had a confrontation in the opener between the OC and the Brawling Brutes, which led to a tag team match later in the night, which went to a no contest due to the Street Profits making their return, all suited and booted now that they got the influence of Bobby Lashley, laying out both teams and seemingly turning heel. I don't know. We'll see. And finally, you had Zelina Vega helping out Shotzi to get some revenge on Damage Control as Shotzi made her return with her new look before Zelina picked up the win over Io Sky, thanks to a distraction from Shotzi trying to cut Bailey's hair in the entranceway. Dutch, we talked about it in depth last night on our review, but overall thoughts and what would be your letter grade A through F for the Go Home show to SummerSlam?
It's okay. No, it was really a good show. It was a wraparound show, and it was a go home show. But they advanced a lot of stuff last night that hadn't been advanced before. And I think that was one of their best efforts so far. I mean, because they covered everything, got some more stuff going, and I don't think they could have asked for or gotten a better go-home show than what they had. I was watching your wraparound about the bloodline, and it showed Afa and Sika, and with their gray hair, it looked great. It really did. It really told a story, and I like the idea of Vega. What was her first name? Zelina Vega.
Yeah.
I mean, she was getting beat week after week after week after week to that Puerto Rico show. Then they saw that reaction, and then they started pushing her. And now this is what we've come up with. Also, and we'll talk about this a little later, I think, too. LA Knight. I mentioned that he was almost pushed out the door with that Maximum Male Models, and then the crowd took over. They liked him, and then they had to listen to it. And now look where he's going. I think this is one of their best go home shows, or actually best shows that I've seen since they did the reboot. What do you think? You think it was good?
I'm somewhat in the middle. If I had to give it a letter grade, I would say a
No,
C.
you will not be in the middle. No, you can't be in the middle
Yeah.
anymore. It's got to be
I'm
up
in the middle.
or it's got to be down. You got to pick a winner
I'm in the
or a
middle.
loser.
I'm in the middle because I felt like
Oh.
if they would have swapped out,
See,
if we
Josh,
would have got the explanation video for Tribal Combat last week and the face to face from last week this week between Roman and Jay, I think that would have been a more effective go home build for the matchup. It doesn't feel as hot as it should going into tonight. That's just my opinion, my overall feeling coming out of the show last night.
well, I disagree totally because I thought it was a great show. If I was looking forward to the show before this show, I'd be looking more forward to it now. I mean, I would want SummerSlam to start right now. I mean, I'm almost ready to go. What time does it start tonight? 8?
8 p.m.
I'm gonna go.
Got a little bit of time left.
I'm going right now, and I'm pulling the chair up right in front of my TV, and I'm going to wait till the show starts. And I won't him leave that TV.
You need to put out tweets. It'd be like 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours.
Tweets, wait, and all I will say is waiting. ... That's what I do. I love the show last night. Triple H,
Josh,
did you hear that? I love the show.
You can split the difference and not try to get a job. What did you think about SmackDown last night?
I actually didn't watch SmackDown last night. I saw like some of the highlights. Yeah, no, I saw some of the highlights. I thought the stable with Lashley and Street Profits, I think that's going to be pretty cool to watch. I guess the last segment with Jay and all of them, I was fine with it. It did kind of feel weird because Roman wasn't there just for it because you're leading up to SummerSlam tonight. So that was a little odd, but I get it because he's already in Detroit. But I mean, overall, yeah, they did do a few things that, it kind of moved certain things. So, I mean, from the highlights, I thought it looked fine to me.
Yeah, it was fine. I will say that cracked me up. I don't know if you noticed it, Dutch. Those clippers that Shotzi had were loud enough to go around the whole arena.
They were what?
When she turned on the clippers to cut Bayley's hair, you could hear the clippers throughout the whole arena. Those are like the loudest clippers ever. Like at this point. It was quite silly. Quite silly. We do have in the chat Negro Bug saying, God. Oh, you're looking at the comment. Negro Bug saying, loved what I saw from the.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you see me doing like this, I'm trying to read it because I'm blind as a bat. So I'm down here like this. Okay, you go ahead.
I love the camera moving every time you move. It's great.
Look at that. I don't know why it does that. It's not supposed to do that. Some cameras do, some cameras don't. But it does that. Okay. Continue.
We got Negro Bug who says, loved what I saw from the Street Profits. A change has been needed for them for a while. Definitely. I like it. I just don't want it to be Hurt Business 2.0. That's all I don't want. I don't want to just make something new. Make something new out of this whole thing.
You're breaking up. No.
I think your Wi-Fi because you look frozen a little bit. There you go. I think you're good. You're good now. But I have a surprise for you, Dutch.
Wait, it's gotta be me. Anything that goes wrong, it's always Dutch is this, that, and the other. Well, I told you I hate my neighbor because he moved and another neighbor moved in and didn't give me the password for their Wi-Fi. Now I hate that stuff. Continue. We're talking about SmackDown.
Yes, but I have a surprise for you. We'll get some quick thoughts from her, but it's for you, Dutch, that she's here. She has the day off with her Roman Reigns schedule, but she is here on location. The beautiful, the lovely Miss Chrissy Love is here to see Dutch.
Hi, Uncle Dutch. How are you, sweetie?
Hey, honey, how are you?
I'm
Good to see
okay.
you.
Nice to see
Where
you
are
as
you?
well. I am driving right now, heading to a bridal shower. I'm
Yeah.
marrying a couple in September, so I'm invited to the bridal shower right now. How are you
Give
today?
the happy couple my congratulations.
I
And
will.
as for me, I'm good. I was a lot better
Good.
before Sid got me on this podcast today. So now I had to get up. I had to
That's what
get
he
up
does.
and
He
get
he
ready.
overworks everybody. I'm sorry that
Oh,
he
he
does
does.
that to
I
you.
would, I would really hate to really have Sid to be my boss. He would just work me to death. I'd have to end up quitting. And I hate that.
We don't have surprise if we don't have a high turnover, so we've been doing well so far.
Okay.
I am
good.
shocked and appalled at your words, Chrissy, and the fact that you're driving and you're on camera with us. But we will let you go do that. Take care of the driving. Thank you for popping in and saying hi to
Yes,
Uncle Dutch. He
of
appreciates it.
course. And hi, Josh. That's so rude. You just tell me to just go to see Dutch and just don't even say hi to Josh. Hi, guys. Hi, chat. I'm sorry I'm not there today, but happy SummerSlam, JP. And yeah, I will see you all later. Love you all. And as you see, I'm driving. Okay. Bye, guys. Love you.
See you next week.
See ya. Drive careful.
Oh yes.
Hey, do we have any
Had to
donations
pop
yet?
in.
Do we have any donations
You gotta. I'm gonna give you the spotlight again, Dutch. Tell the people to start donating, or you have to go. Tell them.
Listen, folks. This is the deal. I get up early in the morning for Sid, and hopefully to make his podcast a success. I don't know, but all you got to do is just push the little donate button just a little bit, and put like a little figure behind it, like 1 or 3 or 5 or 10, and then we'll all feel a little bit better. So it's not that hard. It's really not. Just go ahead and do it. And so Sid, because next week I don't want to hear Sid crying every day. Oh my God. Because he's very emotional. And sometimes he calls me and he's all torn up about something. I got to calm him down, tell him to take a deep, folks. Do the name for me here. How's that, Sid?
There
I
you
did the
go.
best I could.
That was great. I needed that because you apparently said you're basically saying that it's an unsafe work environment around me. That's what
Well,
you're
it's not
saying,
unsafe.
Dutch?
It's unsavory. That's what I'll say.
Got you. Understand. But outside of
That's what I meant.
SmackDown,
Let's get into some gossip. I'm good.
yes,
I'm
we
good
got
at
to
gossip.
talk about some gossip and the news because that's what Dutch comes here for. So let's talk about the latest edition of McMahon's Secession, as Vince McMahon apparently had a search warrant put out for him this week. WWE announced their second quarter earnings from 2023. In that filing, there were legal notes related to the board of directors investigation into Vince McMahon that happened last year. In it, it was noted that McMahon was served with a search warrant and subpoenaed last month on July 17th by federal investigators. No charges have been filed as of yet. As reporting last year, Vince McMahon was accused of sexual misconduct with employees, as well as paying hush money to cover it up. WWE is still paying for the board's investigation, as well as legal fees for various lawsuits. The filing also confirmed reports that Vince McMahon is on medical leave after having a major spinal surgery, which we discussed last week, on July 21st. He will remain the executive chairman. While no charges have been filed, WWE told CNBC, "We believe this is a continuation of the investigation that commenced last summer. WWE has cooperated throughout and fully understands and respects the government's need for a complete process." So this is just the latest chapter in the long kind of investigation that's been going on into McMahon since his sexual misconduct allegations. But a search warrant kind of makes me believe that maybe they know something and they want to find out if there's any kind of proof to it. I don't know, but what do you think about this latest bit of news and then the overarching whole McMahon saga that has gone down in 2023 with Vince McMahon returning to the company after retirement, Dutch?
I don't understand the search warrant. I don't even know what they're looking for, but they're probably trying to find something that they don't believe Vince might be telling the whole truth about. So, and I have to also think is does this have anything to do with the Trump investigation? Because federal regulators did this.
Yeah.
These are the Fed people, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, federal investigators.
That's confusing. But I will say this: what a time to have surgery. All of a sudden, you need surgery, and now, I can't talk. My back. Oh God! But great time to have surgery, because now, if you say something, they can just say, he was under medication. But anyway, it's a great time to have surgery, like I said, and Vince never ceases to amaze me. That seems like you can't catch him doing anything. I mean, I remember years ago when he had all those drug charges about the steroids and all this, he still escaped. And I don't know if he was guilty or not, but he got out of that with almost nothing. I don't know. So it remains to be seen about what's going to happen to Vince. My opinion is nothing, because Vince is untouchable, and I think he's going to slide right through. And I think all this Endeavor business with WWE going to be signed, stamped, and they're on their way. This probably is one of the greatest media acquisitions, I think, not of all time. I don't know what could beat it. Maybe number one. So good luck, Vince, because I knew it. But remember now, Trump is under investigation. Now, wait a minute. At WrestleMania 29, Vince leaned in. I mean, Trump came over after he heard my speech, the We the People speech. And he saw me in catering, which I spent a lot of time. He had to come right through there. He saw me there. He came over and he told me, tremendous skybox when I did it. And he shook my hand. I'm wondering now, I bet those federal regulators saw him say something to me. They may be at my door next week wanting to know what he said. I wonder, am I under investigation now too? Wait a minute.
They're probably watching this right now, and they're hearing everything you're saying. They're probably watching this right now.
Well,
you're done.
I swear. Since you said that, you know what? I just felt a tinge in my back. Oh, it's hurting. I may have to go to the hospital. May have to have a little bit of brief surgery. Hey, it worked for Vince. Might work.
No, but
me.
but Dutch, you.
This story never gets boring.
It's a great shout. You mentioned the surgery, because what we got was the red herring before the whole Wall Street Journal report. The red herring was Stephanie stepping down, like 2 weeks before the Wall Street Journal thing happened. And now 4 days after he gets served the subpoena and the search warrant, Vince decides he wants to get surgery. I do agree with you. I think there is something. There's smoke where there's fire as far as that being connected to the two. As far as the dates, how it lines up. Josh, what do you think about this whole latest deal with Vince?
Interesting.
Yeah. What do you think, Josh?
I mean, it's not surprising at this point. There's always something with this guy. But yeah, I mean, the spinal surgery, I think that's all a ploy. That's just to me, you know. I think it's all a ploy. Is anything going to happen with him? No. Because there's a reason why he chose Endeavor to do this merge. There's a reason why he chose them. They kind of don't believe in cancel culture. So I think no matter what, he's going to be protected. We saw how they treated Dana White. Dana White got caught on camera slapping his wife, and nothing happened to Dana White. So I don't think anything's going to happen with Vince.
That's a very good point. Endeavor's history as far as consequences for outside kind of transgressions, not the best reputation there. But yes, I don't know how this is going to progress. I just know that we're probably going to be talking about this in the next couple of weeks. Go ahead, Dutch.
Let me ask you, in Endeavor's record, in looking back, who have they treated differently? If they found out something about somebody, if they were going into business with them, they would stop that. They would stop that motion of going in business with them, because who have they treated differently?
Well, with any like major corporation like that, whenever there's kind of bad PR around someone, it does kind of slow things down if there's any type of like business transaction going on. But seems to not be the case with Vince McMahon. And like you said, Vince McMahon is kind of above a lot of kind of other rules that other people have to go by.
He's Teflon. Can't touch him. Can't hold on to him. But okay, I'll take your word for it. This Endeavor deal is going to go through, and it's going to be the best moves ever.
Next, we're going to talk about someone else you enjoy talking about, Dutch, Bray Wyatt. Because Bray Wyatt, there has been a lot of speculation in regards to his status, as some believe he will, some actually believe he will be back in WWE at tonight's SummerSlam. PW Insider reports, however, that is unlikely that will happen. Wyatt has been out of action with a health issue, and there has been no indication that he has been cleared to return. WWE will not allow him to come back until he is cleared, as they are being extremely cautious about his health. The rumors online that he was pulled due to Vince McMahon returning are said to be false. There is no connection, quote unquote. Wyatt has been absent since before WrestleMania, when he had been in a feud with Bobby Lashley. I'll start with you this time, Josh. What do you think about Bray Wyatt, and how do you think kind of a year from now people will kind of think about Bray Wyatt and WWE? A year from now, will he be in WWE and be active, or will they look back and say that that was kind of the biggest fumble signing of Triple H's regime?
I think right now is the biggest fumble, to be honest with you. I think out of everybody they re-sign, that's definitely the biggest fumble. But a year from now, I don't know. I don't see him with the company a year from now, but anything could happen. I think with Finn, the casual fans, I don't think they're really going to care about that stuff. I think they're going to look at it as all, WWE, didn't really treat him well. All the other factors behind that I think a lot of fans are going to look over a lot of things with Bray Wyatt. But I don't know. At this point, it's a weird spot, because there's really been no real update when it comes to him. Is he going to return or not? It hasn't really been anything reported from that. But I mean, besides that, yeah, I right now, I think he's the biggest fumble re-sign with the company right now.
Dutch, what about you? Do you consider him the biggest fumble signing of the Triple H regime? And a year from now, do you see Bray Wyatt still being in WWE?
Well, whether he's there or not, he's still going to be in the same spot, because he just didn't click. It just didn't click this time. And yeah, is it the biggest fumble? Yes. But the fumble is creative in WWE. They didn't have anything for him. He needed to come back with a totally different presentation this time, but he didn't. He just got on your screen and kind of sat there and looked at you. He didn't do nothing. And as far as that, I don't think the way they were presenting him had no chance in hell of getting over. It's just there. Like I said, it's looking back at you. Do something. I mean, you're playing with toys, you're doing this, you got a fun house. Yeah, that's all fine and good. But damn, go out and hit somebody in the head with a stop sign or do something. Give us something to grab onto, but he did nothing. And I think this is, and I said the whole time, I think Bray Wyatt is writing this stuff. Well, it may have been okay for a comic book, but it's not okay for WWE television because it's non-action and people want something. If you want the WWE fan to react, you got to actually do something to somebody to get somewhere else that you want to do something else. I don't know. I don't think if he's writing for himself, he doesn't understand wrestling. And that is possible. I have been in wrestling all my life. And I have ran across guys that actually drew money and still couldn't tell you how they did it. It was other people telling them what to do, what to say. And of course, my one I have in mind there is Sting. Sting couldn't tell you how. He could tell you how he got over. He couldn't tell you how to get over. He has an idea, and here's another one, Ultimate Warrior. If you ask Ultimate Warrior to play a character, he couldn't play. He could just play Ultimate Warrior. That was it. So that was like a one-trick pony, and they could do what they do, and that was it. As far as Bray Wyatt, I agree.
That is fair. We got Chase in the chat who says, Bray, the Carl Anthony Towns of wrestling. Shout out to Romeo for saying that last night. He says, all this talent, but man, what do we have to show for it? I mean, he's had good moments. It's just like, has it been lasting long-term kind of progression? No, not really. And we got finally Frantic World who says the Bray Wyatt thing is so weird. I hope he gets better soon. And if it's Vince being back, I can see why Bray doesn't want to be around WWE. I think that, I believe the whole illness report because, yeah. Go ahead, Dutch.
I think that's overblown too. Oh, don't be around Vince because he's immoral. He's this. Listen, the bottom line is money. Why do you go to WWE to play around? So if you're going to make money with Vince, you got to overlook that. If not, then go somewhere else and have higher values, I guess. Somebody said, "Oh, he needs to quit." Quit and go where? Well, at least you have AEW, but that depends on whether they'll accept you or not. So
I don't think Bray Wyatt and AEW.
He wouldn't be a good fit. Yeah, he wouldn't be a good fit. Just with his storytelling and his in-ring work, it wouldn't match for what they present.
Yeah, you have to be good in ring to like a consistent in ring good performer to get over in AEW, and Bray's not that. Bray's a storyteller. Bray's a character. Bray's a promo. That's not all the things that will get him over instantly in a place like AEW. But one final note, and one other person that Dutch Mantell loves to talk about in WWE, LA Knight. Yeah. A new report has an update on LA Knight's position in WWE. PW Insider reports that Knight's current storyline and how he's not been featured more prominently is quote unquote all by plan, and that Knight is looked very positively on by WWE executives. The report notes that Knight has been praised eternally for getting over and breaking beyond what he was given in terms of creative. One person the site spoke to compared Knight's Max Dupree run to Steve Austin's run as the Ringmaster. in how it motivated Knight to over excel.
Yep.
The site notes that there are plans for Knight in the near future, but that the company is waiting for the timing to line up right to pull the trigger. Recent merchandise sales for Knight have been used to demonstrate how he is on the rise, along with his crowd reactions in non-televised segments. WWE has him in line for a push and are just waiting for the right moment. Until that comes, he's being used in a way that won't waste him. So you've been high on LA Knight pretty much since the Bray Wyatt feud last year, Dutch. What do you think about WWE's kind of new outlook in seeing that they have something special? He topped July in merchandise sales out of everyone in WWE. So he's been drawing ratings, getting the merchandise sales, getting the big reactions from the crowd. What do you see for Bray Wyatt for the rest of 2023 with this in mind for WWE?
Yeah. You're trying to tell me that LA Knight beat Bray Wyatt in merchandise sales? You got to be kidding me.
He beat Roman Reigns,
but anyway,
he beat Seth Rollins, all the top stars.
Well, can't deny that, because it was no secret that even when I was there years ago in WWF, it was WWF then, they looked at those merchandise sales to tell you how these people are being, or this talent is being perceived. Yeah, LA Knight's got a tremendous career ahead of him, and it will be a short career because he's 40 now. I think he can go to he's 45, 46, and they can stretch it. But, and I said on that show last night, I think they give him that maximum male models, and I think he said, guys, this ain't doing it. I don't feel this. And I didn't feel it either. The fans didn't feel it. And remember on the show, Sid, I used to say, this is, and I predicted dead on arrival. But it was dead before arrival. And he said, hey, let me do my stuff. And he went out and started doing his stuff, and it got over. Now you see LA Knight, and I'm a big supporter of his. And I think he's got nothing but he's got the moon to shoot at now. And I think he may get up and get around Stone Cold level, or in that area, or the Rock level. He could get, I mean, you can watch the crowds now. They stand up. And those fans, they're lazy ass bastards anyway. To get them to stand up, they don't stand up for nothing. They get up and they're yelling and they're screaming because they enjoy him, and he makes them feel good. And now they're buying that stuff for their kids, or the kids are buying it. But nothing but an uptick for LA Knight. I like him.
Yeah, and you're someone who's very close to Steve Austin. You gave him his name, Steve Austin, and you were in WWF around the time that they're talking about when Steve Austin was the ringmaster. How was it for you being in the locker room and the rest of the guys in the locker room, knowing how great Steve was at the time, being given that ringmaster gimmick? What was kind of the locker room reaction to that?
Well, I don't know about the locker room, but I could tell you, and he never asked me, but it was going nowhere. The ringmaster, what the F is a ringmaster? What the hell? It didn't even make sense. So I told him one day, I said, I got a good idea that you might want to listen to. And he told me, he said, no, I think we got one now. I think we got one. And that was right before he went out and did the Austin 316, just whooped your ass. It was around that time. So he had an idea, and it worked. But Steve, what made that work was Steve. I mean, you could have given it to somebody else, Austin, or say somebody's name like Dutch 316. They go, what the hell? But it had to match up with Austin, and it did, and he got over. And let's bring this back to LA Knight. We were talking about him, the same thing. The people picked him. I don't think the people picked Austin. I think he just got over later. But now LA Knight has got over before all this, and Creative heard it, Vince heard it, everybody heard it. The people spoke. Now they're listening. That's what didn't happen before, because sometimes I've seen guys go out there and the people seemed to like them, but Vince didn't. And sometimes he would leave them off the next week, and I don't know what his problem was. But he's left more gimmicks on the table than what he took off. But Austin 316 is his phenomenon that is hard to believe it happened, but I think we're seeing it happen again with LA Knight.
That's big praise coming from you, Dutch, so I appreciate that. Let's move on to Raw this week. They did 1.759 million viewers. The show featured the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins teaming up with undisputed WWE Tag Team Champion Sami Zayn to beat the Judgment Day's Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio in a great main event matchup. You also got a pair of absolutely superb sit-down interview videos highlighting the Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler rivalry ahead of their MMA rules matchup coming up at SummerSlam. We got pictures of their friendship, them with the 4 horsewomen. We got both women crying, talking about their motivation for the matchup. Such a well done. One of the best things WWE has done this entire year, honestly. You also had Brock Lesnar once again beating down Cody Rhodes with the steel steps before their final showdown coming up at SummerSlam. You had Gunther challenge Chad Gable to a 5-minute challenge, and Chad Gable actually survived. The match continued on in what was a technical wrestling clinic. Gunther got the win over Chad Gable. Also, Imperium had a good night overall as Ludwig Kaiser made Gunther proud as he beat Matt Riddle in a rock-solid opening bout. You also had Maxine Dupree score her first win over Valhalla, and Becky Lynch invoked her rematch against Trish Stratus, but Zoe Stark got involved, forcing a DQ, and later in the night, Adam Pearce made their rematch, not for SummerSlam, but for 2 weeks in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada on Raw. We're going to get into more of that in regards to Becky and Trish, but I wanted to ask you, Josh, your overall thoughts on Raw, most especially those Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler video packages. Like I said, outside of the Bloodline, I think this is the absolute best thing WWE's done all year.
Yeah, I thought it was actually really good. They found a way to make the match interesting. I just wish it would have been done maybe like not sooner, but it would have been longer, like a longer build up, a longer feud. I kind of understand just because of the rumors with Ronda, this actually tonight might be her last match. I don't know if that's going to be true or not. But the buildup has been really nice. I just wish that it would have been like on a bigger, like for WrestleMania. I thought that would have been like even better.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you there 100%. Like the only nitpick I had for those video packages that I wish they would have started them last week. That was my only nitpick for the entire video package at all. But I wanted to ask Dutch about the whole Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus situation. So let's first kind of let the people know everything that's happened, because 4 months, Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus had been planned for SummerSlam. The whole feud basically started with that in mind, that they would have their blow off at SummerSlam. But now their matchup's going to take place on August 11th episode of Raw. Fightful Select reports that while the match was originally planned for SummerSlam, those plans changed over the weekend. It was set to be delayed to WWE Payback at one point before it was settled on for August 14th, August 14th Raw. There's no word on the reason as to why, but Fightful Select notes that despite rumors to the contrary, Lynch was not originally scheduled to take time off after SummerSlam. According to Fightful Select, sources in the company said that WWE has been adamant about keeping the match count and run times for pay-per-views limited to a certain level, which led to some matches being moved. There was discussion about moving the Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch match to WWE Backlash, but it was ultimately moved to the August 14th Raw. It was noted that if it had taken place on SummerSlam, the show would have been severely time limited. Neither Lynch nor Stratus was said to be particularly pleased by the move, which was made in the days before this week's Raw. On a related note, PW Insider reports that Lynch was in Detroit where SummerSlam is taking place, but Lynch later confirmed she is not in Detroit, with Fightful confirming that news. Dutch, I know you kind of have dealt with creative and as far as like making account for like the pay-per-view. Is this like something that you think that is a good thing that WWE is doing now? And kind of what's kind of like the difficulties in breaking down the pay-per-view card and making the cuts for different matches that you wanted to have on that pay-per-view since you've been behind the scenes?
Well, I think the biggest issue, you just mentioned it, was the time of the pay-per-views. They want to keep them, you said, under a certain number. Yeah. So, and I don't think the pay-per-view needs it because I think it's a strong card, just as it is. So they took that match and put it back on free TV, and the talent probably doesn't like it. I think they bitched and went on about it, and I don't blame them. But somebody has to say, we need to do this, need to do that. And they didn't do that because they didn't have something against these talents, but they did it because of other concerns. They don't like it, of course. Talent don't like when they're on a pay-per-view. They don't like to be taken off a pay-per-view. I don't blame them. But and they put it back, they're going to make the same money anyway, regardless. So I don't think it affects them one way or the other. I think more people will see it on live TV anyway than will see it on the pay-per-view. So I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts anything. I think it actually helps them.
So when you were part of WWE, you didn't get like a bonus for like the bigger shows, like a SummerSlam and stuff like that?
That's a funny deal. You have a downside guarantee. Okay, I don't know what their guarantee is. See what I mean? Say it's, I don't know, $2 million or whatever. And when you reach that point, if you have a really exceptional year, you could reach the 2 million mark in 6 months. Now it's all gravy. But if you don't reach it, you're still going to make $2 million. That's it. But what they don't tell you is and everybody will reach their mark because they add the merchandise in there too. So when they guarantee 2 million, that's merchandise and everything else. It's all included. I can't really explain it because it's a complicated process. I don't know, but they're going to make more than $2 million this year. So I can understand. Say they make 50 grand for this pay-per-view. So it might be 50 grand they don't make. I need to recheck this because I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to money. I always tried to stay out of that department because I didn't understand it anyway. And I don't know if they understand it. Hey, truth.
Well, one question you can answer in regards to that, or somewhere in regards to that, how did you feel when the We the People first merchandise check hit you? How did that We the People's t-shirts merchandise look?
I never got it.
What?
I never got a check for merchandise. No.
Oh,
never got one.
They jibbed you. Come on, Vince. We gotta call out Vince again. We gotta call out Vince. They pay him what he owes.
Bastard. I hope the fans
pay him what he owes.
You mother. No, I never did get one. I'm still waiting for one.
I would have.
But I don't know. No, they didn't. They didn't have merchandise out for. They didn't have merchandise out for a long time.
That's true.
And then Jack started bitching about it, and they got a shirt out there. Jack may have got something out of it, but old Dutchy Poo here, I'm still waiting for it. I'm like this with my hand out. Vince, where's my merchandise check? Yeah. Get out here, pal. You ain't getting shit. See? That's how they are.
It's like Jack gets to get
Hey,
it, but the guy
merchandising.
that came up with the phrase doesn't. That's the damn shame. You came up with it. You're the
Well, actually, I didn't come up with that. That's in the Constitution. I can use it now because
saying it with your character.
Oh, I did say that, but they didn't give that to you. I made that up, all of it. So, and the people would stand up. They would stand up in the UK. They'd all get up. One night, I confused them. I was in Birmingham, big house, huge house. And I says, God save the Queen. Oh, the damn roof come in. They didn't expect me to say that. So, and hey, talking politics to a crowd of British people. Oh my God. I mean, you hit a nerve there. Oh, it was great. I told them, I said, you guys need to thank me and thank the American people, or otherwise you'd all be speaking German. Oh. That got serious then. I said, Achtung, or whatever they said. I don't know. But they got hot. And you could tell, you son of a, they didn't say I shouldn't have said that because there's nothing wrong with saying that. But
yeah,
I said, because unless we had stepped in, the Germans would have kicked your ass. Oh. But you just got to know those little buttons to push a little bit. And of course, I went over there and talked about real football and that bullshit football they call football, which is, I call it a wussy game. They didn't like that. And then I'm talking about tea drinking and hot tea, and they would drink that crap. Anyway, I love talking to a UK audience. They're very, very easy. And
yeah. Well, on the other note, with the women kind of getting removed from the SummerSlam card due to the time constraint, Rhea Ripley had been reported as facing Raquel Rodriguez at the event. On Thursday's Wrestling Observer Radio, it was noted that while the two have been feuding on television, Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez will probably not have a match at WWE SummerSlam. Rodriguez has a storyline injury, which is the reason given for the two not facing each other yet. Dave Meltzer noted the backstage reason is that with 8 matches already on the card, there's a time constraint. The company doesn't want any matches to get shortchanged on time. That's why matches initially planned for the show, which also include Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, are no longer happening in Detroit. It's unknown when a match between the two could happen, but it was noted that it is a possibility it could happen at SummerSlam as a surprise, but doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Wanted to go to you, Josh, considering that Rhea Ripley, I would say outside of the whole bloodline angle, is the hottest star in all of WWE. Do you think that it's a crime against the booking for not coming up with something for her to do at SummerSlam?
I'm gonna be totally honest, not really. Because if you really see like the stuff that they're doing with her, it has to do with Judgment Day. So she's been getting over with the Judgment Day and stuff like that. In regards to her actual title reign, I mean, it hasn't been the greatest. No fault to her, on her own, but I really don't think it hurts her, just because, realistically, how many matches have we seen her with the title? So I mean, she's fine. She's gonna come out with the Judgment Day. She gets over in that aspect anyway, so she'll be fine in that thing. I know she did speak about it. And obviously she does feel some type of way about it, which is understandable because you always want to be on a big card. You always want to be on a big show. That aspect, I get it. But no, I really don't think it hurts her because, you know, she's still in a prime spot no matter what. That's how I see it.
Yeah, this led to a lot of kind of outrage and frustration. There was also a report from Worked Wrestling that there is a lot of growing frustration in regards to the women's booking. As someone that has booked a women's division, a very successful one over in TNA with Gail Kim and Awesome Khan back in the aughts. What do you think about WWE not putting arguably their two biggest women's stars in Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley on the SummerSlam card?
Misogynistic. I must come out with it right now. They hate women. They took the women off the card, didn't take the men off, of course, but they took the females off. And what can you say? I think it's anti-women. What else can you say? I mean, you just got to put it out there. Why didn't they take some men off? You ever think about that?
Now they can't take Logan Paul off. Can't take Logan Paul off. That's the only person.
Well, they could. They took Rhea Ripley off, took Becky Lynch off. So if they can take them off, you can take any more. You can't take the main event off. But I think it's because of time constraints, and the fans don't give a shit about time constraints. Only who cares about that is the pay-per-view company, WWE. And that's all. But I think the fans, since they have advertised these matches, all of a sudden they get pulled. Now they feel a little cheap. That's why they're going back on TV. But I don't know when they'll put Raquel, or what's her name, Rachel? Oh, it's Raquel. Okay, I got it.
You always get it right, and then you call her Rachel. You try to Americanize her name.
Now she looks like more like a Rachel to me for some reason.
You can't do that. You can't colonize her. You're trying to colonize her.
I am not. And I don't even know what that word means. What's that word mean?
I don't know. I heard it in Black Panther.
Oh my God.
Well,
we do have a bit,
but they can put that back on free TV.
Yeah, they can.
Breaking news. I want to hear the breaking news. Give me the breaking.
Yeah, breaking news here from Variety. Just a few minutes ago, it was reported that starting this Monday, August 7th, Michael Cole and Wade Barrett will serve as the commentators for WWE Raw. Michael Cole will remain on SmackDown, but he will now be joined by Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves. God, I have to review a Corey Graves commentary show. Yes, on SmackDown. I have to deal with Kevin Patrick on SmackDown.
Corey Graves. They gonna put Corey Graves there?
Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick on SmackDown.
I'm quitting. I'm not watching it. I don't give a crap how much money Sportskeeda pays me. I can't watch Corey. I can't listen to Corey Graves for 2 hours. I just can't.
Wow. I did not expect to see that. No. That's why I said I'm kind of depressed at the fact that I have to review a Corey Graves
depressed.
Commentary show.
I am depressed right now. Wait a minute. I got some pills here for depression. Wait a minute.
Oh shit! No! Don't take too many, Dutch. Don't take too many. Frantic World says, I just saw it. Why are they doing that? I have no idea why they're doing that. No idea.
It's pretty random.
I hope that's a Tic Tac. At this weekend's WWE SummerSlam, we're going to be doing predictions later on in the show. Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar will have their third matchup. At this time, no stipulation has been announced for the rubber matchup. However, Fightful Select had some more details. According to Fightful's report, the match was never pitched to have a stipulation or ever heavily considered to have one. Earlier in the summer, it was reported by BWE, Better Wrestling Experience, that a dog collar match stipulation was pitched and later shot down for the SummerSlam rematch. However, Fightful reports that sources close to both Rhodes and Lesnar state that the stipulation was never in the cards for SummerSlam. Fightful notes that they were told the furthest the idea went for a stipulation for the rematch was, does this matchup need a stipulation? It was reportedly agreed upon that Lesnar versus Rhodes 3 didn't need one. It apparently wasn't brought up again, and when asked if a dog collar match was ever in the cards or mentioned as per the reports, sources indicated that the idea never happened. As of today, the matchup is reportedly moving forward with no added stipulation. Good thing or bad thing, WWE not adding a stipulation to this third Brock and Cody matchup, Josh?
I think it's a good thing. I don't mind it either way. A stipulation match, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where when there's like a trilogy to like a feud, you necessarily don't need, you don't need a stipulation match, in my opinion. So I'm fine with it. I think you only do like a stipulation if there was something that happened before that, like the second match. Like if something happened during that match, then I think you lead up to a stipulation match. But I think both guys have been fine. Both matches have been fine for what it's been and the story they've been telling. So yeah, I really don't think it needs one.
And you kind of agree with that testament, don't you, Dutch?
Yes, Your Honor, I agree.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you calling me Your Honor.
See, just like Portland. Yeah, I don't think it matters one way or the other, but this does. It does bother me. They won't end in a DQ, will they? Oh, you think people would be pissed then?
I don't know. I think they definitely would be, for sure. And we can't even put it past them because they did that on the third Brock and Lashley matchup. So, damn, you just reminded me, Dutch. You just reminded me. Final note that we're going to touch on with Dutch is PW Insider reports that Randy Orton is in Detroit for SummerSlam weekend. However, Fightful Select reports that Orton is, quote unquote, nowhere near medically cleared for a return to the ring. Orton has been out of action since May of last year due to a back injury. It has been reported numerous times that he has not healed enough to wrestle yet. So I wanted to ask you, Dutch, you know more about the business than anyone here. With a back injury, do you think that Orton should listen to some of his doctors that have been telling him to stop wrestling?
To stop wrestling? I think he's looking for a doctor that tells him he's not ready to wrestle. What a deal. What's wrong with him? Is it his back?
Yeah, his back. He's got a severe back injury.
The thing about the back, it's really, really hard to tell about a back injury because sometimes that's the best injury to have because the doctors have trouble describing it. So, but Randy Orton, if he came back now, he would be hot just by stepping into the ring because the company's already warmed up. Now he steps in. He has no get over time, no nothing. He could step right in and continue like he'd never left. But I have heard that there's been a lot of communication between Vince and Randy talking about their back injuries in recent weeks. So there may be a lot of agreement. There may be a lot of agreement between those two. How's your back, Vince? Oh boy, I tell you, pal, it's not getting much better. So, but anyway, I hope
they're in cahoots. They're in cahoots, basically.
Hey, are we going to do any gossip or what? We started out as gossip an hour ago, and we hadn't hit any gossip.
Oh, before we let you go, I know you wanted to touch upon the AEW Lufisto controversy. We kind of touched on it a little bit last week with Lufisto's original tweet. We're gonna expand upon it and gonna tell everybody the whole entire story. But basically, Lufisto called out kind of a toxic environment in the AEW locker room, pointing out different instances that she has heard of. What is kind of your thoughts on someone that has had to manage a woman's locker room over in TNA? What has been your kind of feedback to everything that has transpired with Lufisto towards the AEW women's locker room?
Well, in retrospect, since last night, I have done a deep dive in my thinking, which I don't have to dive very far. But it looks like to me, whatever happened with Lufisto, I think she had it before she got there. Something, because what would make all these girls all of a sudden just, I think they were afraid of Lufisto coming in and starting a bunch of problems. So they started gossiping about her, and we don't want her here. And that's where I think it started, had to. I mean, it's not like she's some newcomer. Is this the first time Lufisto had been there?
Yeah, it was she basically said that she was brought in to basically have a meeting with Tony Khan for a tryout to be a trainer. They told her bring her wrestling gear, and then she was put in the six-woman tag where she was the only one not contracted. And then that's when she got the feedback after the matchup from Dustin Rhodes saying that you made the contracted talent look bad. He also said, he said that all French Canadian people are assholes. He also said as well. So yeah.
All French Canadian people are assholes except for Jacques Rougeau. He's told me he's not an asshole. So Jacques, okay. I don't really understand that whole situation. But apparently this girl, Lufisto, really ruffled some feathers with the girls, and they have really put a lot of attention on her unnecessarily, I think. I think they've helped her more than they've hurt her. And I think they've actually kind of hurt themselves in the process. I mean, why would they be defending a smoke if there's fire? I don't know if that makes any sense, but they put her on the map. Now, if I'm a wrestling fan and I see her name, oh, okay. Now, to me, she has some background, and I'm going to read about her. But I don't know. I don't think everybody is lying in this. I think there's a lot more underneath, and we haven't uncovered. But by hook or crook, I'm going to suggest right now, I'm going to do my own research into it, and I'm going to find the true story. I'll come back on this show and give it.
I was about to say, come back on the show and let us know what you find out in your research. He's not just a researcher. He's not just the best mustache in the game. He's got his own great podcast. So Dutch Mantell, before we let you go, please let the people know where they can follow you on social media, listen to your podcast, see your podcast on YouTube, Sports Key to Wrestle Binge. You're everywhere, Dutch. Let the people know.
I have a podcast on YouTube. It's called Storytime with Dutch. And just go to YouTube and I'll look for that. It's got 90,000 subscribers. Go in there, and the first thing you do, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get 100,000 because that's what my co-host would like to do. He's never really, this is the biggest podcast he's ever dealt with. And it's true, 90,000 subscribers. Actually, I think that's quite an accomplishment. But I go on there and I tell stories and I talk news of the day and answer fan questions. You can actually write in, and if we have about 10 questions that we answer every week, and I think it would be an enjoyable listen. You can also contact me, Dirty Dutch Mantell, with 2 L's, at gmail.com. And I get about, I think, probably 100 emails a week. which is, and I answer every one of them. And if I don't answer one, there's something wrong. I'm either in the hospital or I'm passed out from drinking too much beer. No, I don't even drink, folks, to tell you the truth. But come give us a listen and subscribe, and we'll take it from there. What are you laughing about,
Thank
Sid?
you.
Sid, I heard that chuckle.
You drinking and all that stuff. That's what I'm laughing at. But thank you so much, Dutch, for joining us. Like I said, one of our all-time favorite guests. So you're always welcome back, and we're gonna know your research off of the Lufisto versus the AEW locker room.
Yes, that's going to be ongoing. Okay, guys, I hate to say this, but I got to leave. Enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on the show, Sid. Take care.
Thanks
I'm
for
out of
joining
here.
us, Dutch.
Bye, folks.
All right, take care.
As Dutch leaves here, one person out, we get one person in. We have someone who has been on this flagship podcast before. You see him on this channel all the time. You even saw him at 3 a.m. in the morning this morning, and now he's back up. He's back up at it. He is the face and ace of the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. He is Romeo Anthony Colon. How are you?
What's up? Oh, this podcast just gets dirtier and dirtier. Dirty Dutch, dirty Romeo.
How did you enjoy Dutch on the show?
He's great. He's a national treasure. It's a national treasure. Protect him at all costs.
Did you listen to who Vince McMahon believes is the stupidest son of a bitch he ever met?
I missed that part. What did he say?
He said that's what Vince told Jack Swagger after he got caught with the weed in his car when he got the push before WrestleMania 29.
I was more upset that he's not getting any royalties from We the People. Are you?
Yo, for real, yo, that was a shock, yo.
They're like, oh, that's not your saying. That's from the Constitution. That's
I don't know. Josh was here with me, but I think this is one of the best times we had Dutch on. We got some information from him, like
so.
Yeah,
I just want to say, Romeo, you're an hour and 30 minutes late, so that's 90 cents off of your paycheck.
Well, actually, that doesn't matter because I'm starting the SummerSlam stream tonight an hour and 30 minutes early. So I'm getting it back, getting it all back. I get my time back.
He showed you.
You got me there. You got me there.
You got me there. We got one more special guest gonna be joining us, I believe, very shortly, right, Romeo?
Yes, let me check the DMs.
While we do that, while we have our guests about to join us, let's get into our last bit of WWE from this past week, which was NXT, the Great American Bash from last Sunday. The show was headlined by arguably a bona fide WWE Match of the Year candidate, with Carmelo Hayes defeating Ilya Dragunov in an absolutely phenomenal main event to retain the NXT Championship. You also had Tiffany Stratton beat Thea Hale in a submission match to retain the NXT Women's Championship. Dominic Mysterio beat Wesley and Mustafa Ali, thanks in large part to Mommy Rhea Ripley, to retain the NXT North American Championship. You had Roxanne Perez beat Blair Davenport in a fun Weapons Wild match. Then you had one of the worst WWE debuts of all time, I'm pretty sure. Gable Steveson, as he went to a double countout with Baron Corbin, and the family of Tony D'Angelo and Stax defeated Gallus and in a pretty good opener to win the NXT Tag Team Championships. And as I talk about NXT Great American Bash, I talked about NXT and I spoke him into existence. Our other special guest on this show, this good brother right here, is so multi-talented. I mean, I've been wanting to have him on this flagship podcast, on this channel for quite some time. Really kind of a person that has brought like the wrestling community together due to being the mascot of Wale Mania and being an amazing writer, podcaster, narrator. It is your boy from the Ringer, Cam Hawkins. What's going on, Seahawk?
My brothers, how are you this morning? It's still morning for me. I don't know if it's morning for everybody, but I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
So
Appreciate you joining us, good brother. It's been a long time coming. Try my best with my introduction, but please let the people know. If they don't know you, they've been living under a rock, but let them know who you are.
Yeah, my name is Cam Hawkins across social media. The name is Seahawk. I'm writer for The Ringer. You can find my work there at Fightful, at Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Fansided DDT. The most prolifically, I guess, I was with Pro Wrestling Torch for about a decade, writing, podcasting, doing graphics, so like a little bit of everything. But yeah, I mean that's still kind of the game, right? Primarily writing for The Ringer, but I do I try to do a little bit of everything, man. I try to do pods, live streams on Twitch. Like you alluded to narration, me and my homegirl, edited by Laura from Australia, we try to get together for the big pay-per-views and do like a kind of a promo video for the big matches. We weren't able to do it this time around, but you can expect that for All In, I'm sure. But yeah, man, just, you know, try to do a little bit of everything. Like you said, like the big thing for me, I try to connect everybody because we're all doing different cool things and we should be doing them together. It's been a real like highlight for me seeing everybody who's at SummerSlam media for the very first time. I think that's the coolest thing. It's new rules, man. You don't have to be 45-year-old white guy who knows a guy to do this thing anymore. So it's great just seeing everybody really get to shine. We got, you know, way more black women than we've ever had, like in that space doing media. It's beautiful to see. We got people who are younger, you know, 20s, early 30s. It is great, man. I've loved it. I've loved watching everybody grow. And I feel like the strides that people like me made, people like Travis Bryant, Barjay Purnell, my boys at Grab City, what they've done, Women's Wrestling Pod, Black Wrestling. I feel like all that's really coming to fruition. At Jobber Tears, don't want to leave them out. And we're like the new norm. And I think it's great, man. I love being a part of a kind of a new generation of wrestling media who really has their foot in the door and really has a voice in this space. It's been really great.
Yes, you've been doing great work, man. Glad to have you on the show, and I know you do your best to watch as much NXT as possible. So, what did you think about Great American Bash and especially the Dragunov Hayes main event?
Yeah, man, it was dope. So I was there.
Nice.
I was in the second row. I was like right across from Roxanne's family, so it was really cool, like watching them like react. And like sat right behind like Shawn Michaels' brother. It's interesting. People who have family in wrestling but do not care about wrestling. So watching them like react to stuff is really funny. But I loved it, man. I loved it. So the Spence Crawford fight was the night before, and my favorite sneaker shop was having a watch party. So I texted Mello and I was like, yo, I don't know what you're doing, but you know, we were watching the fight if you want to come by. He was like, man, I'm gonna stay at the hotel. I'm gonna lift and get ready for tomorrow. He's like,
it's not a gimmick.
I'm gonna be there. It was a brother, cousin, somebody, brother-in-law, maybe. I can't call it Frantic World. I'm sorry. But yeah, he was like, nah, man, I'm focused. I'm locked in. So they go out there and they have a banger. Like I was telling people, you know, Mello's had great matches, but we have not seen him have to go out and get it. You know what I mean? Like, he's with super athletic guys, with physical guys, but Dragunov, the reason he's one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet is he's willing to put himself through it. Like they talk about suicide dives. If everybody does a suicide dives, nobody's dying, right? But Dragunov specifically puts his body into every move. It looks like it hurts him as much as it hurts the other guy. And so I was like, how is Mello going to hold up against somebody who's going to go balls to the wall, who isn't just an athlete, but is out there actively trying to kill you? And I thought he passed with flying colors, man. It was an amazing match. It was so great to see. And the best part, so after the win, you know, they're celebrating and apparently the show cuts off. He comes up to me and gives me a hug, and he's drenched in sweat. So please never do that again, Mello. He comes up to me and gives me a hug. And he's like, Cam, I told you. I was like, no, you damn right you told me. Like he said he was locked in. He was going to go get it. And, man, they were great. That's a fantastic match. Like you said, match of the year candidate. I think definitely the best NXT match of the year so far.
Yeah.
We'll see like where everything shakes out, but it was great. It was fantastic.
Y'all ever remember that one segment on NXT? It was in a random episode. I forgot who Mello was feuding with, but they did show like a vignette where Trick and Mello, like they were all going to the club, and Mello was like, "No, I can't do that, man. I gotta focus on my match. It ain't a gimmick. It ain't a gimmick."
That was before the first Braun match. The first Braun match. That was before. Yeah.
Yeah. He was locked in, man. He was not. He was worried about one fight that weekend, and that was the one that he had. So yeah, man.
He was like that too. When we had him at Battle Club Pro, the two times we had him. The first thing he asked for was for a gym. He wanted an available gym. So that's always who he's been, and that's why even back then, like I've always seen how great he was. To see everything coming together now, it's like it's really great to see.
Yeah, like they did that Sports Illustrated top 30 under 30 or ESPN. I'm sorry, ESPN top 30 under 30, and he was I think number 7. He was up there. Like it's going to be great. Like we've all been watching for a long time, so we know. Like Bobby Lashley's 47. That's so crazy to think of. Bobby Lashley's 47 years old. He looks great. But we know like somebody who's 29 is not even in their prime yet, as far as this goes. Like that's more like your 35, 36, where you really put it all together and you're in front of, the audience is into you, management's into you. So typically that takes a little bit longer. So yeah, like you said, it's been great, like watching him come up. And yeah, I can't wait to see what's next for him. He's going to keep being great for sure.
And it's funny you mentioned Bobby Lashley right there, because how great is it going to be for Carmelo if he learns under the Bobby Lashley learning tree, which is what they've hinted a bit on SmackDown.
Like, how dare they actually have continuity in their writing now, right? For Lashley to tell the Prophets that he talked to Trick and Mello about them. And that's kind of what sold him on them. Like, that's great. And again, like to show like them having a conversation previously, it's fantastic, man. And like, they got me because of course I love all those guys. We've called Dawkins underrated for so long. He might be properly rated now, but listen, man, it's amazing what a little Bijan and a clean goatee and a suit can do for you. It's amazing. But he looks great. He got in there. He looked physical. I think that it was always an interesting juxtaposition of Tez always being like so well dressed and proper, and Dawkins, like, he wasn't a slob, but he was more everyman. But I think that like if they continue with this, I really think it's going to be one more of a reason for them to stay together and people not like want that split, but 2, you get to see a new side of those guys. I think that Tez has always shown that if he needs to go heel, he can. So seeing them as like big bad, like Doom 2.0, that's going to be really fun if that's how it shakes out for sure.
I love Tez doing the old Ray Allen lip curl thing, that Powerhouse Hobbs does at the end. Like he was like, I gotta look tough. So
like Grayson Waller does the same thing.
Yes, good stuff. Also, at Great American Bash, got to bring this up before we move on. Is you had Carmelo and Ilya, which is on, like we said, bona fide WWE match of the candidate. On the other end of the spectrum, we might have gotten a bona fide worst WWE match of the year on the same show with Gable Steveson. I wouldn't say that he was horrible. Like it's not the debut. It's not his in-ring work. It was just the overall package all together of the fans rejecting him, him not being the best, still being very green, him being in there with probably not the best guy for his set of skills to be in there with, even though I think Corbin is very underrated. Yeah. And then on top of that, it was like they made a beautiful sundae for you. They put all the chocolate sauce, and then they was like cherry on top. Double count out. I was like, holy shit. This is a top 10 worst WWE in-ring debut I think I've ever seen. Cam, you were there live. How was that reaction being in the crowd for that?
So I think we would agree that AEW is an internet crowd in that they are, if you're a strong AEW fan, you follow wrestling across the internet. All right. Raw and SmackDown, of course, there are people who do, but it's way to a lesser degree, right? I think NXT falls in line with AEW in that this is a crowd that follows the wrestlers and the companies and the news sites on social media. So if you have a building of 4,000 people and 1,000 of them are familiar with Gable Steveson for non-wrestling reasons, that's going to be tough to fight. Like audibly, that's difficult to fight. On the flip side, I went to the WWE NIL dinner in January before the Royal Rumble. And I'm with, we're at the table. It's a couple of NIL kids. One's a cheerleader, one's a track star. And my old lady's next to me, and it's Bianca, and it's 2 WWE reps. So as the WWE reps are trying to sell the PC to these kids, they keep bringing up Gable Steveson. Like, we got Gable Steveson, Olympic gold medalist, University of Minnesota, and he's coming in a couple of months. And so what I try to remember is they're very much invested in Gable Steveson. Gable Steveson working is a sign that the NIL is working, that the PC is working, that there is a NIL to WWE superstar pipeline. And so I think with as much as they have invested in him, it's going to be hard for them to deviate. So they go out there like, the people are going to love him. He's going to get physical. He's going to get in there. And he throws a beautiful suplex, by the way. Yeah. I mean, every amateur wrestler does. He throws a beautiful suplex. But he's going to go out there. We know they don't like Corbin, so they're going to boo Corbin. And then we're going to make it so physical that when we pull him apart, it's going to be just like when they pull apart Cody and Brock. Everybody's going to love it. No. That's not what's going to happen. You got to have enough equity built up with the crowd for a double countout. He has no equity. And again, the information that they do know is not information that they want. And so they rejected it. I don't know if they're ever going to get out of him what they think they will, because look, we all read the news. That is a difficult thing to sell to people if they're not already invested in him. Like, if WWE only ran shows in Minnesota, they might be good. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Because we've seen how in similar situations, local sports media and local sports fans tend to look the other way on a bunch of stuff. Not talking about this specifically, but a bunch of stuff. And I just do not know if your worldwide traveling circus is going to allow that. So I don't know if it's ever going to shake out the way that they want it to.
Yeah, it's kind of in a tough situation, but we'll see how they figure it out. But just not the best start for his in-ring run. We do have a super chat donation here from Caden. Thank you so much, Caden, for the support. He says, "Hey, Cam is here."
Go to hell, Caden. Caden sent me pictures of him and my homegirl Mandy eating sausages on a stick. Go to hell, Caden. And the best thing, Caden's my little homie, so I actually took Caden with me to NXT, and I'm sitting next to Caden and my man Brian from the Torch. And I tell you what, you want to have a terrible wrestling experience? Sit next to 2 wrestling writers in like the general crowd instead of the press box, because they're just gonna fantasy book the whole show. And it's like, guys, I'm trying to enjoy this. Shut up. But again, that's why we're here, so I understand it. So it's for you.
You understand the nature of the beast, yes.
SB3, I was doing the best of SummerSlam watch along, as you know, and one of the matches that came up was Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio. Fantastic. A classic, as we all know. Fantastic. And I was like, wait a second, we could get that reimagined nowadays with Dom Mysterio versus Gable Steveson.
Oh God!
My goodness! They're on the same brand.
It's like they went into an Urkel transformation chamber and they got worse. They didn't get better. They didn't turn to Bruce.
You turned the greatest sprint ever in pro wrestling into a donut spare tire. How dare you? It's listen, like people who, there's a lot of bad actors in wrestling media. well, specifically wrestling social media. Somebody had the nerve to say that like the NXT, the boos and cheers were piped in. Dog, wasn't no pipes. That was all emotion. You could look around and see these people reacting. They love to hate Dom Mysterio and they love to cheer Rhea Ripley, boy. And that's every building. But again, in an intimate setting like the HEB Center, it really rings out and it's really clear the authenticity. Yeah, man, Dom's over, man. Dom's over. It's incredible.
Coming off a Great American Bash, you had NXT this week, which was pretty noteworthy because the show featured Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams basically amicably going their separate ways, with Trick wanting to prove himself on his own. Later in the night, you had Hayes teaming up with Wes Lee after a locker room confrontation against Metaphor, and Metaphor actually won Noam Dar and Ora Mensa due to a disagreement between Melo and Wes, seemingly setting up this NXT championship matchup. You also had Dragon Lee interrupting Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, challenging Dom to a North American championship match for next week, with Rhea accepting for Dom. And then Lee introduced Rey Mysterio will be in his corner next week on the show. You had Lyra Valkyria getting the win over JC Jane. And then you had Santos Escobar making his return to NXT, teaming up with his former friends, family, I don't know, Tony D'Angelo and Stax to defeat Gallus in a trios main event matchup. Great to see Santos back on the show. Felt like a main roster star despite not being so long since his NXT run. Romeo, you weren't on NXT this week. What did you think about NXT?
I mean, it was better than advertised because they didn't advertise much. The little they advertised was just, And then you tune into the show and like they get the actual segments going, and it's a regular show. It's a good show like it has been in recent weeks. So for that, they need to do a lot. But you can't just advertise a lackluster show and then have it be a good show. Like you got to do better at advertising stuff that people want to see. We'll hear from Carmelo and Trick. We'll see the family has a mystery partner, something. You got to set up something like that, But
I think they did the angle for the main event at the beginning of the show. So
right.
I guess
that
one.
I think the thing to look forward to here is Dom versus Dragon Lee coming up this Tuesday. You're going to have Rey Mysterio in Dragon Lee's corner. Finally, looks like they're taking Dragon Lee a bit more seriously here. We'll see how they book this. But yeah, because it's funny because they call Dragon Lee looks like a little Rey Mysterio. And he does look like a little Rey Mysterio. He does. So it'll be funny to have Rey in his corner. We'll go back to the Rey and Dom drama.
And then it also seems like Dom's feuding with all the masked people on NXT because he got into an altercation with Axiom. What have you thought about Dom's run on NXT so far, Cam?
He's fun, man. He's fun. But he feels like a star. He feels like a big deal. And even though like there's the clear acknowledgement of these people are more traveled and more experienced than him, and him turning his nose up to them at every chance is great. Like him disrespecting the idea of Lucha Libre, like as an institution. I appreciate that, man. He's been fun. I love that they've kind of fully incorporated NXT into Raw and SmackDown and the other way around. Like it's like I always equate NXT to a college program. Every college program has the pro guys hanging out on the sidelines on game day, hanging around like the locker rooms, giving advice. You still used to see those guys around campus all the time. And so it lends an authenticity to it. And Dom being like the guy who basically skipped NXT, but like has literally been pro wrestling shorter than almost everybody in NXT is great. Like it really is. And again, he does enough. Like the crowd loves to hate him. Gets a great reaction, and he does enough. He ain't David Flair. You know what I mean? Like, he's a trained wrestler, still figuring it out. And what's good for him too, like he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he also is in an ecosystem where everybody's not the biggest guy in the world anymore. So he does not look like he doesn't belong. But he's been great.
Yeah, he's fitting like a glove over there. You made a great analogy, and instantly the analogy that came to me of Dom kind of putting his nose up to all the NXT people would be like if Kwame Brown put his nose up to Dwight Howard. since he got drafted before Dwight. But he's been playing less than Dwight.
Now I want that in the car vertical video of Kwame doing that. I need that in my life.
We're gonna get on that. We got a chat. We got a comment here from the good brother Nate Milton, who says, "What's good, family? Sid ex-con Dom may be over right now, but is his storyline as compelling as the Miss Elizabeth saga?" Yes. For anyone who doesn't know, I was on the NWA podcast, and I said that the Bloodline storyline is like easily top 2, top 3 WWE storyline. And Professor Chris said, no, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan is better than that. And he tried to include in the Macho Man Hulk Hogan storyline when Macho Man and Elizabeth reunited at WrestleMania 7. I was like, the feud been over for 2 years. Yeah. He was like, no, it's the Miss Elizabeth saga. I was like, oh, now you're just making stuff up. Now you're just
fake DVD set.
You know, you mentioned Elizabeth talking about Dom. Like, we need the Dom Rhea wedding. Listen, Buddy Murphy, Buddy Matthews, I'm sorry. You just got to give the consent to this. Let it's just acting. Let Rhea kiss Dom. Let's just acting. All right. That is the next big great wrestling wedding that we need is Rhea. And can you imagine that should be on pay-per-view too? That shouldn't even be on Raw. That should be on pay-per-view. Can you imagine the build, the heat? When they asked Dom, does he accept Rhea? Does anyone have something to say about this? Like, oh my goodness.
We need black roses. It's a lot of black roses they're going to have to buy. that dress is going to be incredible. I can tell you that. Absolutely.
Yes. Like Chase said, Dom has to take the Ripley name. He doesn't want to be a Mysterio anymore. He wants to be Dominic Ripley.
Yeah.
Dirty Dom Ripley.
I don't want my father at the wedding. I don't want him.
That legit sounds like a wrestling name, Dirty Dom Ripley. Moving on to AEW this week, they did for Dynamite 894,000 viewers for their 200th episode, and it was main evented and featured Hikaru Shida defeating Toni Storm in a damn good main event to win the AEW Women's World Championship. We'll talk a lot about AEW's women's division though on this show here. Also on the show, you had MJF let the fans know that he is our scumbag before inviting Adam Cole out to give him the contract for the match for the AEW World Championship at All In from London's Wembley Stadium. And Adam Cole signed the contract to make it official. Everyone was happy except for Roderick Strong and the Kingdom. You also had Jerry Lynn introduce the debuting Rob Van Dam to face Jack Perry for the FTW Championship on next week's show. The Elite picked up a victory over Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, and Satam Singh in trios action. Post-match, Kenny Omega seemingly teased the Elite appearing on AEW Collision. Trent Beretta pulled off a huge upset in a crazy anything goes 3-way matchup over Penta El Zero Mero and John Moxley. Post-match, a brawl broke out, ending with the Best Friends challenging BCC to a parking lot fight on Rampage. Chris Jericho and Konosuke Takeshita defeated Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia thanks to Don Callis blasting Garcia with a bat. And then we got one of the best outside of the ring segments in AEW history as the Mogul Embassies, Swerve Strickland and AR Fox invaded the Buddy Wayne Academy to attack the students and Nick Wayne, leaving the 18-year-old bloody in his own ring while they called Darby to warn him they are coming. A lot of big stuff happening on Dynamite 200. It wasn't until I did this agenda and I realized how much notable things happened on this damn show. A lot went down. We'll start with you this time, Josh. I know you were on the watch along, but a couple of days to sleep on it. What did you think about Dynamite 200, and did it live up to being a special episode?
The show was fine. It didn't really feel like a special show to me, but it was a solid show. The main event was really good. I was fine with the end result. I know some people on the watch along wasn't. I was fine with it. But yeah, it was a solid overall show.
I think one of those people who wasn't pleased with the result is our very own Romeo. Romeo, Why are you upset?
He wasn't as upset, at least then. But
listen. I like
know.
Sheeta. It's nothing against Sheeta. I like Sheeta. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I'm a Toni Storm fan, and I really enjoyed what she was doing with the women's championship. I don't think the booking was doing her any favor. That's out of her control, but she was really coming out of her shell. Like her character work was really good. She's great at these media scrums. I thought she was really shining personality wise, and I just hope they have something for her going forward, especially since the show's in UK. Something for her, because
she'll probably get the belt. I mean, she'll probably get the title back. I think that's what it really was.
I would hope so.
I think it's gonna be a short reign for Sheeta. I don't see it being long.
No, I like Sheeta. It's nothing against Sheeta.
Yeah.
Tony's gonna be the first ever 2-time and 3-time AEW Women's World Champion. Josh, that's what you're saying?
I wouldn't be mad at that. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Right,
she's really good. I mean, she's really good. I like Toni Storm.
Cam, what did you think about the Mogul Embassy's latest movie on Dynamite this week?
Yeah, that's one of the worst ass whippings I ever seen in my life. And the biggest thing about it was like not only leaving him bloody, but like, yo, you disrespected my man's daddy who's gone. Like they really went for it. You know what I mean? I like seeing AR Fox in a defined role, not just really good guy who the other guys look up to. You know what I mean? Like I like seeing him in there. And Swerve is, even when they were starting kind of the mogul stuff, and it really seemed kind of rudderless. And it looked like they're trying to push music people aren't familiar with. They're trying to put him next to, outside of Rick Ross, like they're trying to put him next to like artists that people aren't familiar with. I was always like, Swerve is so good, it doesn't matter. Like, because once he gets in the ring, he's going to do stuff in a way that nobody else does it, and he's still going to be over. Like that's just going to be what it is. So now that he's also in like a super defined role, he's evil as hell. Him and Nick Wayne have had chemistry like for years. That was like Nick Wayne's first real like long-term. It's weird to say somebody's like long-term feud when the kid's 18, right? But I think it was great putting him in there with Swerve to start, because there's already that familiarity. Yeah, man, Swerve. There ain't but so much time on TV, but Swerve is probably Swerve's going to be their second Black World Champ. I can't say first because I'll get a mean text and a headlock. But yeah, he's probably going to be their second Black World Champ. He's just so good. He's so good.
The first might come tonight. We never know. We'll talk about that. Don't want you to get in trouble.
Yeah.
We should talk about the big news from the week for AEW, the positive news, because there was bigger news, but we'll get to that. Positive news for AEW this week. On Wednesday, Sports Illustrated reported that the Elite, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Adam Page have all signed new deals with All Elite Wrestling. The group signed multi-year deals before the 200th Dynamite and will be sticking around for the foreseeable future. A new report had additional details by Fightful Select, reporting that at least one of the deals is for at least 4 years. There's no word on whether all of the deals match up and are for the same length. The deals were finished up over the last 2 weeks. Several people in WWE have said that the company would have had interest in any and all of the 4, and some in WWE believe they had a chance at bringing them all on board. That being said, there was no serious talks that underwent as far as any indications suggest. The report notes that there is some movement on the notion of a rematch between the Young Bucks and FTR, but no word on any potential feud between CM Punk and the Elite. All 4 of the members were represented by agent Barry Bloom, and the report finally notes that in response to some questions, they were told that the group was always planned for the 200 Dynamite, and it was not tied to the new deals. In the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer reported that the group made the decision to stay with a majority vote. The 4 agreed to stick together, while opinions and votes changed during negotiations. They eventually decided to stay. AEW's schedule was set said to be the most important factor for the decision, something that Matt Jackson said in an interview with Sports Illustrated on Wednesday. It's believed that the deals were signed weeks ago, and it was believed that the Elite decided on where to go with the majority vote and plan to stick together, and that one of them told the Wrestling Observer newsletter, "You'd probably be surprised who voted where." Another added, they've all been executed very, very recently. There were a lot of things to consider this time around, but we're all happy with how it ended up. The deal was negotiated by Barry Bloom, and it's believed that all 4 deals at once gave the Elite leverage. And Bloom told the Young Bucks that, to the best of his knowledge, they had the highest guarantee of any tag team in history, including Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in WCW. Although we should put 1996 money is different from 2023 money. Just want to make that clear. The group reportedly said they can't imagine another wrestling owner investing this kind of money to sign 4 wrestlers at once like Tony Khan did, because Khan offered them so much money, they believe they still saw value in them. So I'll start with you, Josh. I think it's no surprise the Elite re-sign, but is it a little bit of surprise that they did it right now, considering they could have waited it to the end of their deal and actually had talks with WWE and both sides to kind of really get the most money possible?
Yeah, I was actually more surprised that he did it now, just because usually when it comes to contract negotiations, your best bet is to do it when it's getting close, because that's when you have the most leverage. So I thought that's what was going to happen. But I think WWE, where they're at right now with I guess like a hiring freeze, whatever you want to call it, I think that also played a factor. So it was like, we're not going to sign nowhere else, so it doesn't matter what leverage we have if we have it now. And I think that's why they ended up signing. So I think that probably played the biggest factor. I think not knowing the situation with WWE, I think that probably played the biggest factor with them re-signing.
And speaking of which, to bring this up now, then Omega's deal with AEW technically expired in February, but 9 months were added due to his time away. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports there was significant interest in Omega from WWE. However, WWE couldn't make an offer to Omega or any of the members of the Elite as long as they were under contract. However, Omega was said to be at the top of WWE's wanted free agent list. A source noted that WWE saw Omega as a potential top talent and that he would have been used as a top guy in the mix with names like Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar. And while they saw Omega that way, it's also believed that Rollins would have kept the role of the best in-ring worker in WWE, as he had more time in the role than Omega would have and is in better condition physically. Notwithstanding, they decided to go with AEW, but I'm very interested on where you guys think about the whole vote that went down with the Elite. So I'll start with you, Cam. Do you think that with Omega, with the idea in mind and the report that Omega was number 1 in the list, do you think at any point in the negotiation Omega was one of the people leaning towards WWE?
Hell yeah. Like, hell yeah. Again, you saying like you'd be surprised at who voted where. If I take that out of it for a second, like just thinking about it on its surface, Adam Page seems like the guy best suited for WWE as a singles wrestler. Way less miles on his body than Kenny is probably the biggest thing. So when you do say something like Seth Rollins will maintain his role, of course, Kenny walking around an iron lung, like great. One of the very best in the world. But yeah, like the way that he goes out there and does it, like look at how much time he had to take off. Even when he came back, like he was pretty bandaged up. And they're saying, he's in, his best shape in a while. And I think that's great. I don't know if 3 matches a week is what Kenny Omega could or should be doing at this point. And it's not like Kenny Omega is going to go out there and have a 7-minute match. That's not what he's built for. That's not who he is. He wants to go out there and give you 20 and do all the wild stuff you can think of. You know what I mean? And then the Bucks, people swear I hate them. They're great at what they do, and that's not shade. Like their particular style is not my favorite, but I do not know why they would want to go to WWE outside of the money, because I do not feel they would be produced to maintain the style that's made them popular. You know what I mean? Like you built a company that's based on your aesthetic. You're in the place that is going to reward your aesthetic the most, and you have a boss who is going to value that. You know what I mean? I could see Paige wanting to go. Now, if the Bucks were like, hey, we want to go try something new, hey, more power to them. It would have been really interesting to see them against a team like the Usos, who have incorporated a lot of what the Bucks do into their style. And it's a bit harder hitting, it's not as fast of a pace. So to see them kind of work together would have been interesting. But I could really see Paige being the one like, look, I think maybe we should go over here, because I think he has a higher ceiling over there than anybody else. I don't think Kenny has the time left. Like if Kenny went over there today, how many WrestleManias would he main event? 2 tops?
At best, I would say 1.
Yeah, probably 1. If he was over there for 4 years, I'd say he'd probably get 1. You know what I mean? And
I mean, technically, Seth still hasn't main evented one, right? I mean, I guess you count 30.
Yeah, outside of
He has never been advertised or promoted for a WrestleMania main event.
And I don't know, like, right now, today, is signing Kenny Omega bigger than what they could do with an AJ Styles or a Finn Balor? Because I kind of think of those 3 as kind of contemporaries. So, like, I just don't know if he'd shoot to the top of that ecosystem. Like, imagine Kenny Omega signing and they tell Cody, Kenny's going to be in the main event, not you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
better
know,
be
man.
against me.
Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, I think that they are in the best position they can be in. They got a boss who is going to print money for them and a crowd that loves them.
Yeah. And you pretty much echoed everything I said, because we had that question before, who would be the best in WWE? And I said the same thing. I was like, Hangman Adam Page. I was like, he's the youngest. He's got a great body of work already, and he doesn't have the mileage, kind of like what you said. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny was like, I think we go over there. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Matt or Nick said that, because Cody has been on record and said he talks to them all the time. Yep. So he's selling them all the good stuff, all the good stuff about WWE, because Cody did not make it like that. He kind of made it clear when his answer at yesterday's press conference, when he was like, I would have loved to see him here. So obviously he's telling them all the good stuff. So
yeah, it's hard for me to sing. It's hard for me to single out who could have been the one to say, guys, I'm kind of thinking WWE.
I can see it for all of them, all 4 of them. I can see at one point saying maybe we should try WWE,
but I do like that they have a pact. Like, okay, we're all going together no matter what. I do.
It's what they had in 2018. We were there, Josh, for All In when they made the original pact where they said they were going to stay together then. So, hey, I'm all for it here.
Can I say something about this whole thing?
Yeah.
I don't think it was a right move for them to jump right now. The timing of it. They're still in the midst of a sale, like Josh was mentioning, with the whole hiring freeze. So I don't know what kind of deal they could have got. They might have been left in the cold. And Vince McMahon is still lurking out there in the shadows. I mean, I don't know if that plays a big deal in their eyes, but you got to think it plays a little part, at least. They got to be mindful of that, of what he would think of them. Is he flying on a jet plane to go meet up with them like he did with Cody Rhodes? I don't know. And
he might not. Vince might be scarred from taking his plane to Canada since the last time.
And they're about to go into they're about to go into what they're calling the biggest wrestling event in history. How bad would it look? Oh, the Elite are leaving, by the way. Like, what? No, that's kind of weird. I think when this contract is up 4 years from now, Hangman Page is going to be still a baby, 36 years old.
Yeah,
that is prime WWE age. Prime. That's when they don't even consider you until
that's when they start pushing people.
Yeah, LA Knight's 40. Like, what? Yeah. So the other guys the Young Bucks are gonna be a little bit older. You wonder what kind of style they could do 4 years from now. I think Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's got to look into what Rey Mysterio's doing. What he does, what does he do? Go to Central America or something? I forgot what they call it.
The plasma.
There you go.
I think it's like the plasma therapy or something.
You should look into stuff like that.
Drink baby blood. Yeah, you know. They're over there birthing
Whatever it
babies
takes.
just for Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, I know. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I know a little bit about that stuff because like there's like athletes, like there's like legit athletes that I know who've done it. They've actually traveled, and it's like super illegal in the United States. So I know I know some stuff about that. It's just yeah, I probably would tell Kenny like, oh, you might want to look into that if you want to.
Yeah,
or you want to have a few more years.
Might want to find some baby blood, sir. Final two
It's
notes
raised like a
before-
vampire.
Final two notes before we get into what happened on Collision last week. After the news broke of the Elite re-signing, more re-signings were announced as other wrestlers revealed they have re-upped. The Dark Order's Evil Uno wrote on Twitter, Dark Order also re-signed. Where's our press release? And Kip Sabian added, sweet. Oh yeah, me too. The Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that Sabian, Uno, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver all signed new 3-year deals to stay in the company. That means they'll be around until 2026. I will say, Tony Khan has had a good year as far as the re-signing because everybody and their mama's contract is expiring in 2024, and he's already kind of re-up with the people, like his main target. The only target yet that we haven't had confirmation is MJF. Really, that's the only one for AEW to re-sign now.
Which I think he re-signed months ago. That's just my feeling. That's just my feeling. Just because of the way that he's been used. You just don't use somebody who has an expiring contract. You don't make them champion and then basically put them on a part-time role. That's just my personal take on that. Just because of the leverage that MJF had. But I really believe he re-signed a long time ago.
There's a reason you don't hear it anymore. There's a reason that's not a part of his promos anymore.
Yeah, I think it will though. I think towards the end of the year, it would be smart for them to make it part of his promo again.
He's got to turn
towards
back
the
heel.
end of the year. Yeah, as we get towards the end of the year, it makes sense to big it up, and that's why I said. I think I said it on another platform. I don't know if it was here. I was like, the logical feud for the fall and the winter for AEW is MJF versus the Elite. Like the Elite should be the ones that save the title from the guy who wants to leave and take it to the other promotion. They're the E. They're the E in AEW. It just makes all the sense in the world. And you have two bona fide former world champions in Hangman and Kenny there. But final note in regards to Dynamite this week, as previously reported, the WWE Hall of Famer Rob Van Dam made his AEW debut on Dynamite. He will now face Jack Perry. FTW rules for the FTW Championship on next week's show. According to Fightful Select, RVD's appearance in AEW has reportedly been in the works for quite some time. Apparently, the main roadblock was clearing the licenses with the heavy metal band Pantera to use their song Walk for AEW programming. RVD previously used the Pantera song as his song as his entrance theme in ECW, and it's reportedly going to be a short-term role with AEW as just a one-off with Jack Perry, as RVD has already been advertised for WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia for the packages for meet and greets. So I mean, I like RVD being used. I think it was the only logical thing since they started an ECW feud in 2023 when those been played out since 2010 when TNA. So this is the best we could do.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, and I think that's part of it because I'm an RVD mark. You know, I don't expect anything amazing, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, the man's getting the check. I'm happy for him. He's finding any way to still make his money. I'm all for it.
And you gotta get that weed money, man. Gotta get that vape money.
All he do is do cartwheels, smoke weed, and watch his girlfriend twerk and mind his business. Like that's who I want to see win. That's who I support. Absolutely.
Sound like Snoop Dogg in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
Shit. AEW Collision, they did 739,000 viewers last week. And of course, it was highlighted by the big AEW World Tag Team Championship matchup between FTR, with them defeating MJF and Adam Cole to retain the titles in an excellent main event, with MJF being selfless and pushing Cole out the way of Shatter Machine before FTR retained. And then post-match, MJF decided not to turn on Cole, and the best friends hug to end the show. Andrade El Idolo beat Buddy Matthews in an insane, awesome ladder match to win back his mask. You also had Darby Allin picking up a win in a fun bout against a surprise appearance by Minoru Suzuki. Post-match, Christian Cage said Darby isn't worthy of the TNT championship. I mean, his TNT championship. And CM Punk finally revealed what was in the mysterious red bag when he revealed his original AEW World Championship, now the real World Championship, spray painting an X over the E in AEW. Ooh, shot at the Elite. And then Ricky Starks came out to challenge CM Punk for the real World Championship. They will face next week, with Punk saying that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat will be the special guest referee. Of course, that episode of Collision comes on tonight, head to head with SummerSlam. What have you thought overall, Cam, of this whole MJF Adam Cole program? Kind of out of nowhere, this thing has become like the hottest thing in AEW, like their equivalent, or not the equivalent, but their answer to the Bloodline story.
Yeah, when I used to do NXT the day after, because whatever night it was on, I had something to do the night before, but I would like go and watch it, and I would like post video and like comments on it. And this is like the 2.0 time. So every time Adam Cole would come out and he would do something, and I would always kind of say something along the lines of like, you know, if Adam Cole wasn't the size of a college kicker, he'd be the greatest wrestler of all time. And it was never a shot at him. It was just acknowledging like, you're so good at everything that the only reason everybody in the world doesn't know who you are is because you're not the prototypical size of who they put in the main event. But he's fantastic. His wrestling's fantastic. His emoting is fantastic. When he's heel, he's great. When he's face, he's great. There's an intensity to him. And so watching him and MJF, you know, MJF, theater kid, stage kid, who can kind of play every note. Watching them together has been fantastic, because I just think they're both great. You know, them really having some real world emotion come out, because the thing about MJF, he is able to tap into past experiences and present them in a way that very few people can. Like in NXT, I like what they're trying to do with what's my man's name?
Von Wagner.
I like what they're trying to do with Vaughn. Like, it is a sentimental story. Like, it is emotional, but he, like, again, there's a difference in how he presents it and the way MJF can go to something that happened when he was 12 and make you feel it, you know?
Yeah.
So those two together have been great, man. Like, going into their biggest gate, their biggest crowd all time, face versus face. You know, MJF, you keep waiting on one of them to do the wrong thing.
It's like every week. It's like every week they have that. They have that as the hook.
Yeah, I'm a fan, man. They're great together. This was the thing that MJF needed. You know, all due respect to Darby, Jungle Boy, and Sammy, as far as selling a match, not what happens like between the ropes, but selling a match, they're not where Max is yet. And so he needed to be in there with somebody who was also a main eventer. Like, he's in the main event, but he'll acknowledge he's still getting there. You know what I mean? And so he needed somebody established who could really make that thing feel like a big deal. And they're there. They really are. That is going to be fun, however it plays out.
The fact that they are booked basically a babyface versus babyface match, and the last big wrestling event at the stadium was Bret Hart versus British Bulldog. That's also a little nugget that not a lot of people have acknowledged that they're doing.
And honestly, I would probably even say that Cole probably needed it more, because remember, same event, he had that dud of a match with Chris Jericho, and then Adam Cole, even with his entire AEW run, it's kind of been, there's a lot of people who feel like he's been stagnant. Like he's had great performances, he's had certain moments, but it hasn't been nothing significant like he did in NXT. So for him to be in this prime position now, I think he's in a great spot as well.
Yeah, because the Hangman Adam Page program had great matches, but it didn't make you feel anything. This has made you feel like you're emotionally invested, like Cam is talking about, whether it's MJF story, whether it's the story of the friendship. Yeah. This feels like the best program. I said it on Ramble, I'll say it here. If they can give us entertaining segments for the next 3 weeks, and then they have another great match like they did in their first time at All In, I think that this is the best program MJF has done since CM Punk. Like, it's been
I would say
good.
Yeah.
Moving on here, and yes, it's about that time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Lufisto versus AEW, because that has been the talk of the town. Romeo done ran. We got, there's a lot to unwrap.
I respect it.
Let's unwrap here. A new report has cleared up an inaccurate report that Britt Baker was involved in keeping Lufisto out of AEW. Fightful Select posted to clarify a misreported detail from one of their Q&As in regards to Lufisto's recent tweet in which she suggested that someone had kept her out of AEW. Of course, she appeared in AEW last year in a 6-woman tag, teaming up with the Bunny and Emi Sakura on an episode of AEW Dark. The Fightful Select reports that Lufisto confirmed directly that Baker was not involved, and Wrestling Inc. has reported the same. Fightful notes that they had heard the story about Lufisto being kept out of AEW, but had not heard of any details on who was involved. Lufisto's tweet was posted on last Thursday following Dynamite. Say it's cute how people blame booking for a bad women's division, talent with too much power, talent denigrating each other, talent trash talking potential employees so they never get in as soon as they walk in. It starts here. Then it was basically a quote from the one you called effing French Canadian asshole. Then an interview with Fightful from Lufisto came out this week where her issues were addressed from her run in AEW when she worked the April 6, 2022 edition of AEW Dark on an incident with Ruby Soho and Dustin Rhodes. He says, I go to the restroom, and as soon as I open the door, I hear she something something. I open the door, and on the table, Ruby Soho is sitting with Dustin Rhodes, and they just shut up and they look at me. Okay, they were talking about me, that's for sure. Ruby is like, I have to go. I go to Dustin, and he goes, so all French Canadian people are fucking assholes, eh? I'm like, excuse me, what? He was nice to me 5 minutes ago. He's like, yeah, apparently that's the way it goes. I have a very bad relationship with Jacques Rougeau. I can say he was even abusive to me, calling me to tell me I was fat and to lose weight. I'm like, maybe he had a bad experience with Jacques too? He's looking at me differently. And the funny thing is, Evil Uno walks by and he's like, hey, Uno, that's true. French Canadians are fucking assholes, right? Uno is like, I'm French Canadian. Oh, okay. They talk a little bit. I'm there, but I just leave. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I love Dustin, and I even wrote him messages thanking him for the keep it stepping thing because it was very inspiring. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Lufisto also discussed wanting to meet with Tony Khan about a trainer's job, which she was originally brought in for, but kept waiting and waiting until she had to leave, as well as her overall issues with the AEW women's division and having a toxic environment. Dustin Rhodes took to social media to respond to Lufisto following her interview, discussing her experience at AEW, and he wrote, hey, at Lufisto, read your story, and sometimes as a coach, I have to be very honest and won't ever tell you a lie about how good or bad it was. Sometimes hard love comes out and wouldn't have it any other way. I hope you find what you're looking for. Hashtag keep stepping. In response to Dustin, though, Lufisto took to Twitter to write a long tweet saying, had a 1-hour phone call with a current AEW talent. The women who actually addressed the problems I did today were the ones sent home by Tony Khan. There was a meeting to shoot on Thunder Rosa, and that Khan attended. Before leaving, he reminded them that their segments were the lowest. When some girls arranged a meeting to talk about Baker's crew, one of them ran to Britt to let her know. The girls that wanted to address the problem were the ones punished. Things didn't get better, they got worse. The legitimate wrestlers believe Tony doesn't give a damn about women's wrestling and feel like they are going back to the Divas era. Ask me who the fuck I am, tell me I'm irrelevant and that I'm doing this for attention, call me a liar, tell me to kill myself. You keep on closing your eyes and supporting human beings with shitty behavior, with the messages of support, and especially the phone call I received from AEW employees. This nobody did the right thing. Woo! So a lot to unwrap there, and just to let everybody know, that's just part one of this whole thing, because we've got to address what happened at 4 p.m. yesterday with AEW talent, but just on this half of the story with Lufisto addressing kind of some of her issues and her experience in AEW. What was your overall thoughts and kind of the feedback and the lot of feedback we saw across social media to this whole story, Cam?
Last night, pull out my phone.
First mistake.
Yeah, right. And I text Rick one word: elote. So yesterday, when it seemed like a bunch of people had a scheduled tweet about how great it is to work at AEW, Rick tweets, "Man, I can't wait to get some elote." And that's all he said. I texted him that, and he called me, and we talked for 20 minutes. So my biggest thought is this: we don't need to choose sides in work disputes, especially in places we do not work. AEW fans pride themselves on knowing every detail of every wrestler before they ever step foot in AEW. And I think that's cool, to be a wrestling historian and to really have the knowledge of the people who are coming in. How nasty was it that people were like, well, who is Lufisto anyway? And it's like, yo, she's been doing this for 20 years. Like, what are you talking about? Like, AEW, WWE, New Japan, wherever, I do not understand like this need to bind oneself to the 3 letters a billionaire gave you. Never understand it. Like, I like the NFL. I'm a Washington Commanders fan, so my life is miserable. But if Ron Rivera comes out and tells me that Sam Howell ain't working hard, and Sam Howell says, yeah, I am working hard, you know what I do? I watch the game. I watch the game. That's it, because it don't got nothing to do with me. Like, so I'm trying not to say certain things, but we're all adults. We all saw the plot, right? And people I like were like, people I know were in like the tweets saying about, you know, it's great here and everything's perfect here. And it's like, look, it's a job. It's a job like anybody else's job. It ain't perfect there. If it was perfect there, everybody would want to be there. And this is any job ever. This is that place. It's WWE. Look, I know people in AEW who absolutely do love being there. I know people who are unsigned and are like, I would never sign with AEW. I don't like how things are organized there. It doesn't make one side right or wrong. Like, it means that it doesn't work for you. Like, we all work somewhere right now. We know somebody who loves working there. We know somebody who hates working there. And that's not an indictment on that person. You know what I mean? So I thought it was nasty, man. I thought it was real nasty. And one thing that I try not to do, if I have like a friend who gets into some type of trouble, I don't run to social media to tell you how all my experiences with them have been great.
Yeah.
Like, because you don't know how they dealt with that other person. If you can't say, yo, I was there with the two of them when they were talking and this is how it went, I don't need to hear how much you think about somebody's character because they never did you wrong. You know, like, because what it does is, and this is a conversation that I've openly talked about, when the thing with Big Swole happened, when that tweet happened with Big Swole, it was literally New Year's Eve, right? We're having a New Year's Eve party at a hotel, and Rick's coming to the party. So he gets there, we look at each other, start laughing, and walk off into a corner to talk for an hour about why it's not okay for Tony Khan to say what he said, even if it's exactly how he feels. Because what that does is everybody who's a stand for your company is going to start calling people all kinds of names and attacking their character because you have the power in this situation. So to me, it like, and Britt Baker specifically, right? I met Britt. Britt is cool, like whatever. Britt, to me, did not need to say, nah, that ain't what it is. Like, it's one thing to defend yourself, but you can just leave it at that. Wasn't the case, not the situation. But when it turns into like an actual dog pile of, no, everybody's great, and this person's great, and they never did me like that, it's going to come down to person with most followers is right, or person backed by bigger company is right. And that should never be the intention. Like, we would all be better off not knowing any of it. And listen, like, even on Lufisto's end, I felt like she was speaking her truth. And she's not like, she's still responsible to a point of knowing what was coming. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that is the case. Like, she's an adult. It's a grown woman. She knew how things were going to fall, even if she feels like she was in the right. But to me, there was no reason to combat that back because it's only making this hard for one person. Like, Britt Baker and Max and whoever else and Ruby Soho, they're going to be great 3 days from now. It'll be like it never happened. It ain't going to be like that for Lufisto, you know, and you got to take that into consideration.
Like I 100% agree with everything you just said, because especially with like the Lufisto end of this, you had to know that this was going to be like the outcome once you come out with all of this. The person I honestly feel bad and I feel is a victim in all of this is Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa hasn't said a damn thing. Bruh. And she's had her name dragged throughout this whole thing.
Bruh. Like, I did, I'm trying to think of when I did the thing with Tony Storm. Whenever Hayter beat Tony Storm for the title, we talked at length about Thunder Rosa. And even then, she was like, yo, it ain't no shot at Thunder Rosa. I just think if you got the title, you need to be here to defend the title. And to me, that was light. But we have seen both things that the four of us, and by extension, everybody in the chat, have heard about that situation. We've heard what we've heard. We saw how it was presented on the AEW All Access show, right? And all Thunder Rosa want to do is be cool, paint her face, and do Busted Open, and eventually come back. She minded her business, you know? Like, so yeah, like, it sucks when your name keeps coming up when you ain't messing with nobody. Absolutely.
Listen, I like the way she's handling it because the silence is deafening.
It is. It definitely is, though. It definitely is. It says a lot more than anybody that put out a tweet yesterday.
Yeah.
Josh, I know you have experience, actually, you know, you worked on the independent scene and you've actually had the experience of working with a promotion with Lufisto. You mind, you know, like telling the people about your experience?
I mean, I'm not going to go to like full details just because I don't want to, you know, drag other people into what I experienced. Me personally, she was always fine with me. So I'm not going to say, oh, she treated me terrible, but there's been things that I've experienced, that I've seen, that when it happened, like when I was hearing all the stuff that was coming out, she doesn't have the best reputation. So when it all happened, I knew what was gonna happen. I knew what was gonna happen, and it's like it's one of those things where if somebody speaks on certain things, right? If you have a problem, right, people are gonna go by who's basically saying it. Right. For example, CM Punk. I think there's a lot of things that with CM Punk, there's things I could agree with him with, but because he has such a weird reputation and the way he comes about it, that's what makes him look bad, right? So when it comes to Lufisto, it's the same thing for me. Not the CM Punk level of things, but she's worked with people that is like, oh, maybe this is not the best reliable person who should probably be speaking about this. But yeah, that's where I stand with that. So like when the whole thing happened, I'm not, and this is what I've been saying the whole time. I'm not saying that locker rooms are perfect because they're not perfect. That's why I agree with the whole work aspect of things. You can enjoy your job. It doesn't mean it doesn't have its issues, right? So, I mean, when it comes to that, it's just it's just such a messy situation that once you put out something like that, like something that happened basically 16 months ago, I want to say a private situation because we didn't know about this until that came out. It's none of our business, regardless of how she felt. She wanted to come out. My thing, where I stand with this is like, hey, if you were going to speak about it, you should probably should have been mindful of what was going to happen after. People were going to come at you. So my thing is like,
I call it the bee rabbit theory.
Yeah,
you should have said everything people were going to say about you before they had the opportunity to say it. Like that, I think that was the only way she could have saved herself from the.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And because of the way she responded, the way after everything happened, it was just like, oh. And that's why I felt bad in a sense, because it was like, I knew this was going to happen. And I'm not saying what she's saying is all lies, but I think a lot of what she said too, I felt like she was a little all over the place too. So it's kind of like, what's real, what's not real, what's the truth, what's not the truth, what's one of those things where, if it's what she experienced or how she viewed it, it might not be the right thing. You know what I mean? Like if it's like if somebody talks to you a certain way, you're like, oh, why the fuck is this person talking to me like this? But then it turns out like, no, that's how they come off, right?
And it's not even like you're saying like she's being misleading. That's how human nature is. When your kid goes to school and gets punched in the face, they go home and tell their parents, I got punched in the face. They won't tell their parents, oh, I called this black kid a nigga.
What they did. Yep.
They won't say that part. They say the part that they were done wrong. That's human nature. That's how it works. So Lufisto, I think that she, like what Cam was saying, she spoke her truth, how she felt about her experience, but we don't know all the details around everything she said because that's the one person's perspective.
Yeah, and also because of my personal experience, this is just me speaking. This is just me giving my opinion on the matter. I do feel like she did something that rubbed a few people the wrong way. So I think that's what the whole everything that happened yesterday. I think that's what led to that as well.
Or it could just be the preconceived notion of working with her previously that some people have, like you said. Like it would be like, oh, she's here.
It's like, okay, this is probably not going to go very well.
But
by the way, she did deactivate her social media.
I'm not surprised after that.
She needed to. She needed to.
It'll help you sleep better for sure.
Yeah,
exactly. You won't be having your phone blow up so much. But let's go over the tweets from yesterday, because like Cam kind of alluded to, on Friday, several members of the AEW roster and more have defended the company's women's division after Lufisto's claims. MJF was the one that got a lot of attention from people, writing, if you listen to miserable people who never made it in the sport, that's not exactly the brightest thing to do. Use your brain. If someone's in professional wrestling for over a decade and you find them to be talented, but they've never truly quote unquote panned out, there's a reason for it. 1, lack of talent. 2, difficulty to work with. 3, delusional, just to name a few. People love to talk ill of companies and will say things like, I'm the only person who's brave enough to speak up, when in reality, the only person you're spewing bullshit is because you are aware deep down you aren't going to make it. So what's the harm in spewing reckless lies and trying to hurt hardworking, talented people on your way down to obscurity? We have an amazing women's locker room. Sorry, not sorry. They honestly didn't need to put out any other tweet. They could have just had people retweet this, and I think it would have been less obvious what happened, because at the same time as that, Britt Baker had a tweet go out, and I don't have the original one. This is her response to one of the comments where she talked about Thunder called the meeting to discuss multiple and personal issues. There were no meeting to shoot on her. These are all salacious Twitter rumors. I'm sure when she's ready, she can help clarify. We also had Ruby Soho, who is kind of at the point, at the middle of all of this, saying the women in the AEW locker room don't just claim to be in support of women's wrestling, they show it. Whether you see it or not, the ones who don't ask for credit after they stand in gorilla and cheer for two women who beat each other to a pulp for your amusement, the ones who lend an enhancement talent their knee pads because they forgot theirs at home, the ones who sit in the locker room with a sobbing peer for an hour to console her when she's having a bad day, those women are silent heroes. Just because the voices you hear are the loudest doesn't mean those voices are speaking the truth. And then finally, Soraya put out a tweet saying that the narrative going around is very disheartening, considering someone says they want the best for women's wrestling, but buries it in a number of tweets. I will say, being in this company close to a year, my favorite part is being with the girls in the locker room. They uplift, support, and laugh with each other every week and only want the best for one another. We hype each other up. We buy each other wrestling gear sometimes just as a little surprise. We text each other daily, and we are there as a shoulder too. This is one of the best locker rooms I've been in, and I refuse to let people twist it to be otherwise. Love you all. Lufisto then responded with a tweet of her own saying that good that everybody at AEW got the memo to write as much shit on me as possible, as I can be seen as a waste of a human being, not worth living, even people who never had a single conversation with me. Even better to see people who I never did anything wrong being so desperate to get a job and jumping on the bandwagon. Soon I'll see you hypocrites be part of Be a Star and mental health matters, advertisements, acting like you care. Enjoy your paychecks. Keep on stabbing each other in the back and pretending this is normal. I can only hope that your hate towards me will get you to finally fucking work together for the best of women's wrestling.
Finally
fucking work together for the best of women's wrestling. Now that the problems have been called out. So many miserable, frustrated, and will whisper their anger, but never will stand and speak up. I wanted to leave this world knowing women's wrestling was better. It was for a while, but not anymore. The sad part in that is that you accept it without saying a word. It is what it is. What a waste.
Don't end the tweet saying I wanted to leave this world.
Yeah, she had more characters.
Yeah. That was the part that scared me about that. Like, I wanted to leave this world and make me.
That's a bad cliffhanger.
Life is not worth living. Like, those are like scary to hear. Romeo, what's your thoughts on everything that went down yesterday with AEW, obviously their PR department telling the roster to kind of put their support for Ruby Soho and the locker room?
Oh, the PR is improving. Will Washington hard at work already. Good job, Will. Good job. Good job, Will.
Don't do that to Will. Don't do that to Will. Will, homie, don't do that to Will. Don't do that. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that, Skip.
No, I put that tweet out there. Like, the AEW locker room was like, "We are the world. We are the children." It's all at the same time. That was funny. But hey, they're all in solidarity. I don't know what's real. I don't know what's fake. Who am I? You guys touched on all the good points already. I just hope.
Yeah, you got it. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Ken.
I was just gonna say, like, we're all adults. Like, it's clear. There's no way they were all looking at their phones and saw the same tweet at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, for all these things to happen within 10 minutes of each other, like, I don't got to put no more words on it. Like, we see the plot. We see the play,
We see. We peep game. We peep game. That's how I used to say. More on the women's division before we wrap up AEW section with Rampage. Jamie Hayter and Thunder Rosa have been talked about as potentials to make returns in the new future. We talked last week about both working to return to the ring, but it was unknown when they would be back. There was hope that Hayter might be back for All In at London's Wembley Stadium, but her status status was uncertain, and she likely wouldn't make it barring a miraculous recovery. And now the Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that neither Hayter nor Rosa are expected to be back in time for Wembley Stadium event in London. Hayter in particular is expected to be back around February due to various injuries she is dealing with, and that is said to be a rough estimate. As of Jade Cargill, who is currently out taking some time off, we have an update on her now. She's been out of action since losing the TBS championship at Double or Nothing. She recently tweeted on social media last month that she was outside the wrestling bubble is nice. I might stay. During a recent conversation with PW Insider, AEW president Tony Khan provided an update on Jade Cargill and her status, and he said, well, Jade's still with us, and Jade has been on sabbatical since her upset. I believe title loss after her unbelievable undefeated run, and Chris Statlander now is the TBS champion. She's made some great defenses of the title, but Jade is still with us, and I can't say for certain what's anybody's going to do in the future, but certainly we value Jade and everything she's done here. It's unknown when Jade Cargill will return to AEW, but I'll ask you, Josh, when do you think we will see Jade Cargill make her return to All Elite Wrestling?
I would say by the end of the year. That's my guess, by the end of the year. I'm not 100% sure, but I think when she comes back, I think this time off kind of will help her because she could be actually one of the women, to go after that women's championship. I think this puts her in a good spot this time off because the problem was that because of that streak going on and then she lost the title, it kind of would have been bland for her to just go straight for that title, for the women's title after she lost her streak. So I think this time off, I think would actually really benefit her to actually, when she comes back, she's probably going to be the top woman to go after that title, whoever holds the title. So
this is the wonderful, beautiful Charlotte Flair booking. Oh, I'm not in the title picture. All right, I'll see you. Let me know when I can be. Love it.
I'll be back. Don't worry. Cam, do you think they should bring Jade back as a face or her heel character?
No comment.
That means he knows things, folks. Closing up the AEW portion here. AEW Rampage last night. The show featured the Blackpool Combat Club's Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli picking up the win in the second ever parking lot fight in AEW history. This was insane. It was bloody. A lot of different weapons. Yo, they lit a 2x4 on fire, hit him with it. Then they ruined Sue's car. They took the door off of Sue's car. Blackpool Combat.
You got insurance.
Are fucking menaces. They're fucking menace. We got Keith Lee and the Hardys picked up the win over Kip Sabian, the Butcher, and the Blade. Following the matchup, the Hardys challenged the Young Bucks to a match on Dynamite this Wednesday, and Anna Jay picked up the win over Sky Blue in singles competition. On news from AEW, only news note from Rampage is an update on Pac, who's apparently out with an injury. He's on the shelf. Tony Schiavone announced on Friday's show that the former All-Atlantic champion was injured and unable to compete. No details have been given about the injury. He last competed on last Wednesday's AEW Dynamite, getting a win over Gravity in singles competition, but I don't know. I don't know if I believe this. I just think it's an excuse so Pat can go back to England because he needs to go back every other week.
So let's just say like it is a legit injury. Does he need to lose some muscle mass?
Eat some carbs?
And this is like, again, me not knowing the guy, but it just seems like he's really, really injury prone. And a lot of that can be, and I don't think he's going to change his style. His style is very physical. He's a fantastic wrestler. But could it be that he's carrying so much muscle mass doing that stuff that it's just that much easier for him to tear or pull something? Like,
that's a good point.
And the unfortunate part about that is like, he was still pretty big as Neville in WWE, but I'm kind of like, does he lose his mystique and his aura if he's smaller? Like, are we just going to have to get 2 months of him every 6 months, like going forward? Because, like somebody said, chilling with Chase, like, Rock, when Rock came back after years and years off, when he came back Hollywood size, like he couldn't hold up and wrestle his style. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate. Like, I hope it's just guy has the worst visa issues of anybody to ever live.
Yeah.
I hope it's just that.
Yeah.
He just got to go through customs again for a while. But yeah,
I mean, listen,
Always
you've been on the
dealing.
shelf. You've been on the shelf for so long, and you come back. A blood and guts. Here you go. What?
Yeah. Immediately, right?
That's my first match. What?
Mhm.
All right.
Blood and guts, and then you go do 20 minutes with Claudio 2 days later. Yeah.
Yeah, 2
no
days
wonder.
later.
No wonder he's a little bit hurt. But that wraps up AEW. Do you have to run, Cam, or you could finish up with us?
Oh yeah, let's close it out, man.
Oh, bet. So last few things that we miss is New Japan. Of course, they had the latest in the G1 climax.
Wait. Let me step out of here. Send me a message when you're done. I don't want spoilers.
Yeah. Just mute it.
No,
It's literally
I don't wanna
it's gonna
see it on
take me
screen.
5
You don't
minutes.
even want to read lips.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to look. Just message me.
Turn off the camera and everything. Just turn. He's like, I'm gone. And New Japan G1 climax. Yeah, days 10 through 13 this past week. Day 10 saw Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Shane Haste in a well done battle of TMDK members. You also had Shingo Takagi and Tama Tonga go to a 20-minute time limit draw in the C block. Day 11 had Yota Tsuji beating Shota Umino in a very excellent matchup that played off of the previous 3 Musketeer draws very, very well. You also had Hikuleo picking up an upset win over Kaito Kiyomiya. You had El Phantasmo picking up the win over Tai Chi in a surprisingly good bout. You also had the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Sanada defeating Gabe Kidd in a very good matchup, and Kazuka Okada defeating Kenta in the main event. And then day 12 saw Shingo Takagi defeating David Finlay in a great main event. Tetsuya Naito picking up the win over Zack Sabre Jr. in a very good bout, which they always do against each other. You also had Hanare in a hell of a matchup. This was an absolute banger against Ishii. Hanare picking up the win. Eddie Kingston beat Tama Tonga in another good matchup, and Alex Coughlin defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi in one of the upsets of the tournament. So it came down to day 13, which was this morning for the A block, with the final 4 matches of the block, which we saw Sanada defeating Chase Owens. No surprise there. You also had Yota Tsuji picking up the win over Gabe Kidd in a great matchup. You had Kaito Kiyomiya actually falling short to Ren Narita because Gato hates anybody that isn't from New Japan. So he had to make Kaito Kiyomiya look like a fucking chump. And then Shota Umino came up short to Hikuleo, as Hikuleo made it to the playoffs of the G1 climax. So Sanada has made it to the playoffs, 7-0, undefeated in the G1 climax block format, and Hikuleo makes his first playoffs for the G1. So shaping up very well. Josh, you could text Romeo now because I'm done. ROH TV, the show featured Athena picking up another win over Diamante for the ROH Women's World Championship. Shibata beating Josh Woods in a solid affair to retain the ROH Pure Championship. Aussie Open picked up the win over Iron Savages to retain the ROH World Tag Team titles. And Shane Taylor beat Christopher Daniels, while Gravity defeated Tony Nese for both Taylor and Gravity to advance to the ROH TV title tournament finals. Please, dear God, do not let Gravity beat Shane Taylor. That's all I have to say, Tony Khan. Listen to me. And then finally, we had Impact on Access TV. You had the Rascals picking up the win over Gresham and Speedball Mike Bailey in a fun main event to qualify for the tournament finals for the tag team titles. You also had the Coven picking up a win over Deonna Purrazzo and Trinity in an opening matchup due to the basically dissension between Trinity and Deonna. Coven get the win, and Kenny King retained the Digital Media Championship in a triple threat against Yua Uemura and who is it? Joe Hendry. Excuse me. I can't read my own notes. But that brings us to the end of what we missed. And we're going to do match of the week before we get into SummerSlam prediction. And look, Romeo's back, y'all. He's back.
Good.
How was your time away?
It's wonderful. I'm not spoiled. I'm still on night freaking, 8, 9, something like that.
You disappoint me. You're supposed to be my Padawan, and you're supposed to be keeping track of the G1 right now. You disappoint me.
Yeah, but hey, life gets in the way doing all these streams, Right.
I understand. You want to do 14-hour streams of best of SummerSlam matches that you already seen instead of watching the new content from New Japan. I get it.
Hey, I need a New Japan break. I can't watch it all back to back to back to back.
No, you got to watch it all back to back to back. No. I wake up at 5 a.m. Kids, so that's the reason I'm able to catch it.
But I have been digging it. I have been digging it though.
That's good. What was the last one you saw?
I think I'm on night 8.
Oh yeah, you're in last week territory.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not. Night 8 was Ishii and Kingston. I do remember that. That was great. That was awesome. All right, match of the week time. This is the usual point of the show where we give you our top 3 to 5 favorite matches of the week. Cam, we give you time to think about it. You'll go last. My matches of the week from this past week. Damn, I have to think about it now. Number 5, I will go with the parking lot fight from Rampage with the BCC and Best Friends. That was just a lot of fun. Some great action. Number 4, I'm going to go with Gunther versus Chad Gable from Raw. Number 3, I'm going to go with Shingo Takagi versus David Finlay from G1 Climax Day 12. Number 2, I will go with Hanare versus Ishii. And number 1, Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov from NXT Great American Bash. Josh, matches of the week. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with top 3. So number 3, I'm gonna go with the parking lot brawl. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Gunther versus Gable, and number 1, easily Dragunov versus Mello. That should be everybody's number 1.
Oh, you're muted.
I think you're muted.
Or something rough with the mic. I'll give my top 3. Number 3, I have the parking lot brawl. Number 2, I have Mox, Trent, and Penta from Dynamite. And number 1, yes, Ilya and Mello.
Yeah, and Gable Gunther is my 3. Sheeta Storm is my 2. And then Mello Dragunov is my 1. So, yeah.
Good shout on Sheeta and Storm. I forgot that one. I should have put that in my top 5 for sure. But we're probably going to get our top 5 from tonight's big show. WWE SummerSlam 2023 is tonight. This is the final predictions for us here at Tru Heel Heat. But we'll start with the match that's probably going to make WWE the most money this weekend, the Slim Jim Battle Royale. WWE making the most money they ever made on a sponsorship deal based on this match alone. It's going to be 25 men in the matchup. Who you got, Cam?
Yeah. Listen, man. WWE, you can fight your stigma. You can beat your stigma. They say when somebody gets hot on their own, you don't let it happen and you go a different direction. It's just a battle royal. Let LA Knight win it. Send the people home happy. LA Knight.
I 100% agree with Cam. The reason LA Knight's going to win this is because it doesn't mean anything. And they don't have to think about what do we do next? And then what? They don't have to think about that. They can just give him a win on the show. LA Knight wins. Josh?
It has to be LA Knight. I mean, this is the obvious choice. And it's I mean, at the end of it, it's not like they're winning anything out of it. It's not like there's no big prize or whatever, like title shot, anything. So I mean, this could be a shoe-in for him at least.
Romeo?
It should be for who's going to be the new spokesperson for Slim Jim, Slap it to a Slim Jim. Yeah. I mean, it fits just perfectly.
It works.
But I'm picking LA Knight, but I do not like how they also had him win last night on SmackDown. That's not a good sign.
Never a good sign on the go home show. Never that. Next up, we got the matchup that probably turned their build around the most during the go home week. MMA rules, Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. Who's gonna win this one, Romeo?
I got Shayna. I've heard the rumors that Ronda's on her way out. She's gonna put over Shayna strong. Definitely, I think by armbar, Ronda's gonna tap out.
I can see that. Cam?
Shayna for sure. I think that like they're probably in the back putting the thing together right now. That Ronda was somebody she completely trusts, somebody she cares about. They finally figured out what to do with Ronda. She does not need to cut live promos. Nobody cares. Do it in a video package so she's cool, calm, collected, make the thing matter. Shayna is probably, I keep saying it, I think she's the most complete wrestler they have. When we talk physicality, speaking truth to power, like feeling legitimate, she's amazing. And I think this is the start of finally her big singles push.
Like that I said it earlier in the show. I gotta say it again. That video package on Raw, man. Shayna Baszler, the level of realism she had there was Eddie Kingston, Dax Hardwood level of realism. Like that was legit. Loved every minute of it. Next we got the matchup there, which will probably open up the show. So I'm sorry, Josh. Ronda, Shayna.
I'm gonna go with Shayna. I think I wouldn't be too mad if Ronda wins, but I think given the scenario, if Ronda does leave, kind of makes sense for Shayna to get something, and then she could build off of that. That makes the most sense.
You can make her the next big challenger for Rhea Ripley, who needs something like that.
Yes, that's what I think is like the goal of this is Shayna wins and she's the next challenger for Rhea down in this fall or the winter. We got the match that probably opens up the show. Logan Paul going one-on-one with Ricochet, being billed as probably the most viral WWE match of all time. Who picks up the win, Josh?
I'm gonna go with Logan Paul.
Logan Paul, Romeo?
I'm gonna go with Ricochet, slight upset, just because of how Raw ended with Logan Paul talking all that trash to Samantha Irvin. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what kind of viral spot they got planned. It should be something interesting.
Cam?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Logan Paul. He's been in a lot of matches, or been in some matches, and hasn't won a whole lot. I think you got to give him, you got to stamp him, especially if he's going to be around. I think he wins this one.
Yeah, he hasn't won a whole lot. The last time he won was last year's SummerSlam against The Miz was the last win that he has in singles competition. But because of how Raw ended, I agree with Romeo. I'm going with Ricochet here. Next we got for the Intercontinental Championship is going to be Gunther defending against Drew McIntyre. A lot of people think this is going to be the match of the night. Who you got, Cam?
Oh, Gunther for sure. It's not time yet. I think, like, man, we'd have to have some magic happen and some trades and all that. But like, to me, or not even trades. That's Chad Gable's title to win against Gunther when it's time. And so yeah, I gotta go with Gunther retaining. But yeah, I think they're gonna tear it up because they always tear it up. So yeah.
Especially after this week's Raw, it seems like that's been the popular answer is that Chad Gable should be the guy to beat Gunther. And he's been the workhorse for the Triple H regime. Like he just puts them on Raw, tag team, triple threats, doesn't matter, has a great match. Yeah. Romeo, Gunther or Drew?
Yeah, like Cam said, it's not time until we pass the Honky Tonk Man's record number of days. And even then, it still might not be time for a long time as Gunther makes the record even more hard to get. And I kind of think eventually the guy to break that, to beat Gunther, is going to be, they're going to strap the rocket to either Braun Breaker or Ilya Dragunov. And they're going to beat Gunther. Something Braun Breaker has done before in NXT. And Ilya Dragunov has done as well.
Josh?
Gunther. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me at all, but yeah.
Sorry.
I was like, who the hell did all of that?
My mouse is tripping, sorry.
Yeah. Why? I'm like, what did I do?
Look,
I thought you kicked me out. You thought I picked like Drew or something. Like
he kicked himself out.
Like what? Like
sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
No, yeah, Gunther easily. I think he has to be the person to beat that honky tonk man record, which I never cared for. But this is gives me something to care for now.
Guys. September 6th. All we got to do is make it to September 6th. We're
honky tonk man. He still got that champagne on ice.
Yo, like
Gunther loses, bro.
He's like the 72 Dolphins. He's like
So I was telling Romeo, like when they had, remember Santino when he was the IC champion? I was telling Romeo, I was like, yo, they had a gimmick of Santino like trying to like count that. He was like, how many? He was like 60 weeks, and I'm up to 11. Like he would count it like every week until he lost it, but he lost it like way before he even got close to it.
Let us all down. Next, we got one of the 4 main events for SummerSlam. Cody Rhodes going one-on-one with Brock Lesnar. 3. What have you thought about the feud overall, and who do you think walks out the victor, Cam?
Brock just be mad. Like Brock just be mad. I was there at Raw when he turned on him. Brock just, you just gotta be mad sometimes. But it's been fun. Like Brock has shown more personality in the last year and a half than he has in the last 20 years. And it's not like he had a lack of personality. It's just been a joy to see it. Cody, I don't know when Cody's going to do the thing people say, but he's definitely going to finish the chapter. Cody gets the win, man, and he keeps that momentum rolling until next year when maybe the thing happens.
The thing. He's like, I'm not even going to mention it.
I've muted
after your video went viral.
Like you're not saying it. Don't say it. But yeah.
You got the video that has been the kind of like with the picture of Cody after he lost. It's like the picture and that video you made, and then the most viewed things from that moment.
What? Yeah, fun times.
Good times. Next, we got the second of the 4 main
events.
To
me and Josh.
Oh, sorry.
You did not.
I thought it was pretty obvious. Romeo, go ahead.
Yeah, Cody, I just want to say that I'm so fascinated by how they book this match and how it ends. How does Cody win? Does he win in the dominant fashion like he's been teasing, embarrassing Brock Lesnar? And, shout out to Brock Lesnar, too, because we've been doing this Best of SummerSlam watch-along. His matches always pop up. He is Mr. SummerSlam. He's about to add another one to the resume. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to how this is booked.
By far, Mr. SummerSlam. Josh?
Yeah, I'm going with Cody. I think the feud itself has been fine. I've been completely fine with it. It gives Cody something, to get away from losing at WrestleMania. It gives him something. So, I think it's going to conclude tonight. I see him winning it.
Said this on the preview. I'll say it here again. This feud has been 2 things for the past 4 months. It's been 2 things. Brock beats up Cody. Cody cuts a good promo. And it's just been done over and 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 over again. They just put Cody on a treadmill, a Brock Lesnar size treadmill for the past 4 months. I hope Cody gets something from this. I see he wins, but by pinfall. I don't think it's going to be the dominant win he's been teasing. WWE Women's Championship up for grabs. Triple threat, Asuka, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair. Who walks out with the gold? And how does Io Sky factor into all of this? Josh?
I think Charlotte wins, and then she gets cashed on again for like the 4th time of her career.
Seems legit. Cam?
I think Asuka retains. Because I hope that we're getting a Charlotte-Bianca tag team. I think that would be great.
Oh my goodness.
That would be the best way to prolong them going at it, because they want to do that on a big pay-per-view. So that's a good shout. That's a good idea. Romeo?
Diamonds are forever, and so is Charlotte Flair winning at SummerSlam 6-0. And if Io Sky dares try to cash in, 7-0.
I was firmly in the boot of Asuka wins, Io Sky cashes in. Io Sky lost last night, and Charlotte mentioned that she's undefeated at SummerSlam for the first time on TV. She's winning. She won.
Let's fucking go. 15 time, baby. Let's go.
She won. Once we said it on TV, I was like, damn, it's canon. Fuck.
I'm just telling you. I'm telling you tonight, if that happens, I'm leaving the stream. Just so you know that happens. And it has nothing to do with Charlotte, by the way. It has to do with this guy right here. Right there.
I'm gonna be unbearable for all you Charlotte haters. I'm coming for all of you.
WWE a World Heavyweight Championship, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. 7 years in the making since the last time these two fought for a world championship at SummerSlam. Who you got here, Josh?
I'm gonna go with Finn. I think it makes the most sense right now with Finn winning. He's already lost twice to Seth in this feud. You're gonna have him lose a third time. Might as well just kick his ass out of the Judgment Day already. That's how I see it. Like, so that's why it makes the most sense for Finn to win it now. And then, the second big story that's going on is with Priest holding the briefcase. Build off of that.
100% agree with you. That's the most interesting outcome to have, is that Balor wins. And he wins thanks to the help of Damian Priest, what Priest intended to do at Money in the Bank. And then he has to walk around with a smoking gun next to him in Damian Priest. So, yes, that's the most interesting. That's what I want. Cam?
Yeah, I got Finn for the win for all the reasons you guys said. I think that makes the TV most compelling. You're going to get Finn in matches. You're going to have them in tag matches. Damian Priest, not because he's Puerto Rican, naturally looks untrustworthy. So yeah.
Thank goodness you didn't make that part.
He said it with two Puerto Ricans on camera.
Hey, I knew that's what I said. Not because he's Puerto Rican.
Well
he
said.
looks untrustworthy. Something about his spirit. Okay. But no, I just think he does have that great menacing look and that great deep voice to where even when he's being nice to you, there could be something like an ulterior motive there. And so, yeah, I think that's the best thing that they could do with them in a unit, Dom being successful, Rhea being successful, but Finn having to worry about the guy next to him. I think they go with Finn.
Romeo.
Yes, the 7 years of bad luck is over. They've made me buy in here. Finn Balor needs to win. That'll be great for him. It'll be great for Judgment Day. They'll all have, when they come out on Raw, they'll have everything. They will look so dominant. It'll be a great picture. I remember that wedding idea I had for Rhea and Dominic. Have Priest cash in on Balor there in the wedding. Ruin the wedding.
Like Dwayne Wayne and Whitley's wedding. Just busting the wedding. Don't marry her.
Wait.
I
was gonna say Lisa's dad at Will's wedding in Fresh Prince. Lisa's dad.
Oh my God!
When he scooped up Will's mom at Will's wedding. How you do that, bro?
Very nasty business.
Which they never go back to after that.
No,
by the way,
they never acknowledge it.
It's like again. It never happened.
No,
it never happened.
No nothing. No. Mm-mm.
Finally, the main event of SummerSlam is, of course, Tribal Combat Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, Jey Uso. Cam, who you got?
I don't think you are aware to the level of which I love Jey Uso.
I do, because if you remember, the first time we were ever on camera together was Believe before Royal Rumble, and you literally said before Royal Rumble, before when everybody jumped on that bandwagon after his performance in the angle, you were the one that said Jay should beat Roman for the title.
Yeah, and guess what? It ain't the time. Like, it ain't the time. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it is going to be emotional and hard hitting, and you are going to see both of them at the top of their game. I think Roman retains, man. I don't know where that puts Jay, but I think Roman retains just because, like, I think we all agree that, you know what happened a year ago this week, 20 however many years ago this week. That's when Luger beat Hogan for a couple of days. Then they went into Hog Wild, Road Wild, and he got the title right back. And it was
I remember that.
Moment. Like, it was a great moment, but ultimately it meant nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, I don't want what happens with Jay to be like a fleeting feeling. because I don't think that's where he's headed. I think ultimately he sends Roman home eventually, but I still think that Roman needs to be champion at WrestleMania facing Cody. So, I it's gonna be great. I got Roman retaining though, man. Damn it.
No, but you put a perfect example of the comparison of the quick title run to have the moment and to break it up, and Hogan got the title right back. And then when you go into Starrcade 97, it was hyped up, but it didn't feel as hyped up as it probably would have if Hogan had been champion for a full year. And then you bring up that one, it made me remember a more recent one of Chris Sabin beating Bully Ray for the TNA heavyweight championship, and then Bully Ray won it right back. And then when Bully Ray faced AJ, where he finally was going to drop the title, it didn't feel as big because Bully didn't hold the title for a year. So don't do that. Stay the course. Roman wins. Romeo?
Yeah, the title change wouldn't be bad, but they're also putting the tribal chief on the line, and Roman needs to remain tribal chief.
But how unpredictable would this have been if Cody had beat Roman and this was just for the tribal
That's
chief?
what should have happened.
Like,
I'm not saying that Cody should have beat Roman. I'm saying that for what we were talking about back in January, for that to ultimately happen, Roman without the title, still being tribal chief and needing to be taken down, that's where Jay should win. Because for Jay, it shouldn't be about the title, it should be about the family. So yeah.
But Cody gave the. Go ahead, SPT.
No, I was gonna say Cody and Brock, I would not have the same complaint about it because it would be for something. I would not have this. Cody and Brock, the issue that I have with it, as we're just hours away from this third match, all of it has felt very hollow because we never found out why Brock attacked him in the first place. The feud was built on it was a non-existent base that the feud was built on. So therefore, all of it has felt hollow to me. And I think if it had the title and Brock was trying to go after the title, he's been unable to get a title shot since getting screwed by Roman. That's both stories would have probably been better for coming into SummerSlam.
I still think it's going to be Cody Roman, and Cody's going to finish the story. Remember, he gave the great prophecy to Roman that, your brother's going to leave you, Solo's going to leave you, you're going to be a chief with no tribe. And that's the story that we've been on this whole time. And I am so interested. They've laid it out where you could see Solo turning on Roman. You could see Jimmy, something, the teasing. I'm so looking forward to seeing how this plays out tonight. But yes, Roman is going to win. And I still think we need that Roman Rock chapter somewhere down the line. The Rock's got the free time now. I still think that's on the way. That's why Roman still has to be tribal chief. And the drawings they had, the AI, whatever, for that video package.
That was dope.
Rock was smack dab in that.
Rock showing up because he ain't got no job right now would be so nasty.
And look, he ain't got no job. And Roman can play into that on the promos. It'd be hilarious.
Oh, you got some free time now. Oh my God.
Oh, you coming to see the tribal chief now.
I want Roman to hit him with the Martin. You ain't got no job, man. That's why you here.
We still gotta get that.
Roman J. Josh?
Easily Roman. He's gonna stay the course. You keep the course. But even so, even if you take out the storyline, if you look at it on a business aspect, Jay is just not that guy that's going to be the world champion. That's just I'm just calling it like it is. Even though he's been great, he's been fucking amazing ever since this whole thing even started. He's been great. This feud really benefited him a lot, and I think in a sense it did look at him differently. Like, oh, he could probably have a singles run even if something was to happen, because I know Jimmy deals with a lot of injuries, certain things. So now he's one of those guys you can rely on. He doesn't need to be off TV because his brother's off TV. He could be on TV because he's been this great. So, I mean, either way, Jay doesn't lose. Roman's going to win. Jay doesn't lose. All they have to do is just come out with a banger match, and I think both of them are going to kill it. Well, but also what's going to be interesting to me, at least, because remember the first matchup when he faced him the first time, Roman destroyed him, fucking demolished him. So now it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to build off of that, to see how far Jay has come in the match to be this close to beating Roman. So it's going to be entertaining no matter what.
Now, I've watched plenty of SummerSlam previews this week, and Romeo, I still think I've came up with the best finish for this. Do you remember my finish for the matchup?
Oh, yeah.
So my finish is that we get a moment where Jimmy makes his return. He comes out, goes for the super kick on Roman. Roman moves. He hits Jay. But that's not the finish. That's just a great near fall. Roman hits a spear. That's also not the finish. Just a great near fall. Then Solo comes in, gives him the spike, tells Roman, who's freaking out because Jay keeps kicking out, get up, let's do this. They give the spike spear combo to Jay. Roman wins. Go up the aisleway, Roman, Solo, and Heyman. The elders are there, the Samoans, the Wild Samoans, and Rikishi. They're about to put the lay on Roman, and Rikishi stops them and says, put it on Solo, because that would be 3 key times now. Solo was the reason the title stayed in the family, and Solo was brought into the bloodline by the elders. The elders are grooming him to be the tribal chief, and they pull the trigger to end SummerSlam. So SummerSlam ends with a cliffhanger that everybody will want to watch moving forward. And then you also got Jimmy versus Jay, because Jimmy hit Jay with the super kick. So then you don't have to have Roman on TV for the next couple of months. You just have Heyman be the instigator between Jimmy and Jay. And then you go for it.
And what a fine instigator he'll be.
Absolutely.
and then we'll have another SmackDown graphic. Roman returns.
Exactly. Roman returns. Roman returns. Roman returns. We do have a super chat donation from the good brother Vala B. Thank you so much, Vala B, for the love. He says, how's it going? THH Crew, SP, Romeo, Josh, and Seahawk. I don't think Gunther is losing before Survivor Series. I hope after the way this was built, Asuka reminds people why she's the champ. I mean, I hope.
Thank you for the 20, but no. Let's go, Charlotte. Appreciate you, Bobby.
Well, why are you so mean? Why are you so mean? And I said this to Romeo. I will say this to you, Savell. Say it to anyone else who's predicting this. Jimmy turning on Jay makes no fucking sense tonight. It makes no fucking sense. Yes, they can make it make sense, of course. I will always believe in them to do this.
Tonight, no.
But tonight, it does not make any sense for Jimmy to turn on Jay.
Yeah, but I think that's the direction we're going, though.
But that brings us to a close on another edition of our Flagship podcast. Want to thank the good brother Cam for joining us, making us laugh, making fun of my Puerto Rican brother in here. Always a great time.
Hey, Puerto Ricans are a trustworthy and decent people. That's not Damian Priest.
Disclaimer.
Just not Damian Priest.
Not Damian
Priest. You got the floor. Let the people know where they can follow you on social media and let them know everything you got going on, brother. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. If anybody uses Spill or Threads, if those things are still a thing, at Seahawk. There you see it on the screen, CEEHAWK. You can find my writing at The Ringer. Most recently, I wrote about the Great American Bash and did an interview with Steve Austin for Fightful, and on YouTube as well. If you search Cam Hawkins on YouTube, I just interviewed Tiffany Stratton for Great American Bash. So a little bit of everywhere. You can find me on the socials. Fightful.com and TheRinger.com are the places where you can find me most frequently.
Awesome. Doing great things, Cam. All the success in the world to you. Josh, Romeo, thank you guys for filling in for Miss Chrissy Love. Josh, floor is yours. Let the people know where they can follow you.
You can follow me at JamPunk321 on Instagram and X. I guess that's what you call it now, right? And you'll follow me and then I'll be on tonight for the SummerSlam watch party. I'll be on for that tonight.
Romeo, you'll be on tonight, but let the people know where they can follow you.
For Romeo Anthony, X, Instagram, TikTok, subscribe on YouTube, same channel, right here on Tru Heel Heat. YouTube channel like tonight, join me where we celebrate 15-time women's champion Charlotte Flair. And join us Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Raw, NXT, Dynamite. Watch
This fucking guy.
This guy spreading that.
You know what's crazy? But you know what's crazy though? I like Charlotte, so it's not like I'm against Romeo. It's just
it's much worse for the people that hate her. It's much worse.
I know how he gets. I know how he gets.
Exactly. Every single time. You can follow me on the Twitter or the X machine at Tru Heel SP3. If you're listening on the podcast feed, that's TRU, no E. Also check out all the great content we got on the channel right now, like our SummerSlam preview before the big show tonight. Check out our Dark Side of the Ring Season 4, Episode 9 review of the Bash at the Beach 2000 episode with myself and Miss Chrissy Love as well. But for everyone who joined us today, Dutch Mantell, Cam Hawkins, Romeo, Josh, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been Tru Heel Heat 237 Elite Investigation. We are signing off until next time.